Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, the DN WhatIf, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into part 1 of What If Deku Could See the Past Holders of One for All Since Birth. A special shout out to the original creator, Erian, Mallu. Please make sure to show your support by checking out their work from the description. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. He still remembers the day he saw his nephew for the first time, in a hospital room, right on the maternity ward, a newborn being held by his brother. Hisashi was weeping with joy, just like the woman by his side, both smiling with all the happiness in the world. Yoichi also remembers feeling confused, with his head spiraling, of how he yelled curses at his brother, calling him an imbecile and a bastard, making it clear that the mysterious woman deserved better than a 200-years-old liar. But what he really remembered was his nephew smiling at the holders of One for All, looking directly at them with his green eyes. At first, he didn't think much of it, it was probably a coincidence. But that theory went out the window whenever Izuku tried to interact with them, moving his little arms where they were. When it became clear that the baby could see and hear them, everyone had to watch their mouth around them, and Daigoro started chanting curse words to names of flowers. When Izuku learns to crawl, he tried to go in his direction, leaving him completely overwhelmed. And his first word? Hisashi was trying to make his son say Papa for weeks, but his very first word was his uncle's name. Ichigo had to hug him while he cried tears of joy while Hisashi was having a mental breakdown. Now, Izuku is playing with his mother, who is making silly sounds while holding a toy. The woman didn't know that En and Hikage were pretending to fight each other near the kid for his entertainment, and he was loving. He always enjoys watching them play hero versus villains, every holder showing off their original's quirks on that little theater. It was worth it just to see him laughing, his white curls bouncing on his head. Honestly, he reminds me of Machi because of his hair. It's white and fluffy. Besides, he has the most pitchable little cheeks I have ever seen. Oh, and his cute little freckles. Who is a cute little Machi? You are. Nana, you are using your mom's voice. She elbows him. But really, Yoichi and Machi had a nice ring to it. Speaking of ringing, the phone was doing it. Inko had to put Izuku in the baby playpen. The second he realizes his imprisonment, the toddler pout and decides to use his secret weapon, calling Yoichi. 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 I am not going to move. At all. Yoichi.
Not
moving. Muscle. His nephew's eyes began to water, so he bolted to the baby playpen. Izuku shouted completely happy little sounds and started clapping his hands. Shimura and Daigoro are rolling on the ground, laughing their asses off. Only Ichigo had a spark of empathy and decided to help his friend. Inko finished her call, and she went to tend her son, who was already distracted with him and Ichigo. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Izuku pressed the replay icon once again, practically vibrating on his chair because of how excited he is. And Nana is so proud because that is the debut video of her boy saving people with a smile, just like she taught him. All the other holders expected great things from All Might. He is so cool. Almost as cool as you guys. Nana's smile became wider. Don't let him fool you, Zuzu-kun. He is a dork at heart. The boy gasped, horrified. Nana. All Might can a dork. He is the best pro hero ever. Shimura laughs and asks if Izuku could keep a secret. He could, of course, he could. He kept them a secret from his parents. Do you want to know why he is so cool? Always saving people with a smile? He nodded with quite the enthusiasm. Because that was the first thing I taught him as his teacher. With wide eyes, Izuku looked at Nana with adoration. Suddenly, he ran to his bed to grab one of his notebooks, his very first one, full of notes about them. Whenever Izuku saw a hero on TV or on the radio, the boy's eyes would shine with wonder. Being naturally curious, the boy would speculate how the pro hero's quirks worked, sometimes classify their moves and attacks. So one day, Ichigo suggests to the child he should write down his thoughts. Think as it a hero analysis for the future. It will definitely help you if you want to become one. Trust us, we know. Really? Of course. We are all heroes, after all. That only lead to his nephew making a ton of questions about their quirks and what they used to do. At first, Izuku began to write in messy handwriting, but they propose he creates a code. What would happen if a villain finds his notebook? Things would get ugly if Hisashi ever sees those notes. How would a villain like him react if, by seeing the drawings of 6 specific people you hunt down and killed one by one? Daigoro recommended that Izuku should write about them in another notebook and that he hide it well. Only Inko knew about them, but to her, they were her son's imaginary friends. Kinda true if you think about it. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Dr. Tsubasa or Garaki Kyudai or whatever he is calling himself now. He can rot in hell for all they care. What kind of doctor just straight up tells a 4-year child to give up his dream of being a pro hero just because he is quirkless? Quirks are only 200 years old. And back in his day, whoever had them wasn't even considered human. Now it's the opposite. Besides, he is probably wrong anyway. Izuku had more chances of not having a quirk at all. That's what happens when your dad is a first-generation quirk user. But how could his nephews see and hear them without a quirk? Daigoro joked, saying that it was all because of a paranormal or supernatural reason. But all he got was a smack on the head. Honestly, the best hypothesis is that all of that is possible because Izuku is related to Yoichi. One for all worked through the genetic code of its host. Not that his nephew had Yoichi's quirk. Thank God for that. But still, they share 25% of the same DNA, and that probably counts for something. There has to be a reason, something they aren't seeing at the moment. However, they don't have time for that, because things changed so much the morning after. Young Bakugo started to treat Izuku like some kind of outcast, started to call him Deku, started to hurt him. Hisashi and Inko tried to solve things like adults, with talking, deep breaths, and the occasional lawsuit threat, mostly by Hisashi's part. But the worst parts are the nights when Izuku cried himself to sleep, always thinking that his father went overseas to escape his son's quirkless, when in reality Hisashi was recovering from his fight against Toshinori, even though it happens 5 years ago. It was torture to see his nephew being reduced to a frightened boy, which made him smaller every day for almost 10 years since his diagnosis. One of the small comforts is to know that Izuku still writes his analysis. At least that stayed the same. It was that dream again. The conversation Izuku had with his father on his 4th birthday, the words always ringing in his ears even after he woke up. He was helping his mom with the birthday decoration, an all-might theme, golden age, of course. He is so excited, not just because his quirk is coming soon, at any moment now. The boy is so thrilled with the idea that he doesn't notice his father is right by his side. His dad asks what's the matter, so Izuku tells him. That made Dad smile, who kneeled to his level. Well, what kind of quirk do you want to have? Now, that's an odd question. Sure, he wants to have a quirk, but it's not like he can choose what it would be. Yours and Mom's quirks are amazing, I don't mind. His father smiled even more, as if Izuku had said something funny. Oh really? I'm honored, but... He smiled again. If you could choose a quirk, any quirk at all, what would you like it to be? He thought for a second. Ah. He whispers into his father's ear like he was telling a very important secret. And he always woke up before he could answer. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They were at the bank when the buglers started shooting. Everyone throws themselves to the ground in a state of panic. Since he couldn't help himself, Izuku notices the robber's quirk. One of them had guns coming out of his arms and used to fire at will. The other thug had skin that worked like a shield if the ricochet bullets are any indication. The thugs continued to demand money, and all Izuku could do is hug his mother and hold her close, trying to ignore the shooting and the screams, trying to not call attention to them. Don't look here. Don't look at her. Hand it over, kid. Izuku's grip tightens, and he did his best to ignore the panic rising in his chest and the man's brutally tug his arm. In that second, sparks of electricity run through his body, and it feels like hands in the air. This is the police. The thugs still try to fight but surrender when the pro-heroes come into the scene. In amidst all this, the Midoriyas didn't have time to process what really happens. Soon after they were in the police station, giving their statement. Good afternoon, Midoriya. My name's Tamakawa Sansa. I'm here to take your statement. All right. It only took a few minutes to explain everything to the policeman, but for a moment Izuku wonders if he should tell the man how he felt when
Dread.
Why is he feeling dread? It's not like he did anything wrong. He should tell Tamakawa-sen that. The boy bit his lips. Tell him what? That his body tingle with excitement, that for some strange reason Izuku felt. What hole? That doesn't even make sense. Izuku still had no idea of what really happened. He would probably be wasting time trying to explain. Tamakawa-sen had better things to do, right? Is that all? There is a pro-hero looking at him, with a puzzled expression on his face, almost like he can tell Izuku is hiding something. That doesn't help with Izuku's nerves. Even so, he answers. Yes, officer. Well then, thank you for your time, Midoriya-kun. Now if you exe-. Is that the notebook kid?
What? Oh wow.
It is him.
Guys.
It's the notebook kid. Some policemen, and even some heroes and sidekicks for that matter, started to gather around Tamakawa's desk, which, again, doesn't help with Izuku's nerves. He could hear the whispers, some of them belonging to heroes he had seen fighting. But how long until someone asks that question? Wow, is it really him? Yeah, it's him. I remember seeing him 3 days ago, when fought against that burglar. I thought he would be taller. I wonder what's his quirk. There it is. He knew it was coming, but he still cringed. How would they react when they found out the truth? Would they treat him with disdain, like he is taking up space? Like he didn't matter?
No.
No, stop. Don't think like that, don't think like that. He bit his lips again, feeling tears welling up in his eyes. Sometimes his mind did that. He can be having a train of thought, and suddenly it just
stops.
Whenever he is doubting himself or feeling too sad, that happens. And when it does happen, it helps. All right, people, that's enough. Give him space. The first pro-hero, Skydiver, a new pro-hero from Osaka, apologizes. Sorry, kid. It's just, well, we are finally meeting. I heard so much about you. He blushes, feeling confused. Still, Tamakawa-san is trying to make sure Izuku is not feeling overwhelmed. Really? Yeah, kid. You're kind of a celebrity. We are always seeing you around our fights. Sometimes he watches too closely. He should really be more careful. That sounded like his mom for some reason. Some of the heroes ask him what he was always writing, making the boy bite his lip once more. He told them. They sound surprised and ask if he has one of his notebooks with him.
He does.
Can we look at it? If it is okay with you. Is this how Kaken feels when the teachers praise him? He shows them, right after writing down, the way to decode what he wrote. Pro-heroes, sidekicks, and policemen congratulate him, and Izuku felt pride blooming in his chest. It happens by chance, really. Sansa was talking about his latest arrest, complaining about a burglar, saying that the man was lying nonstop. Oh, how so? He keeps saying that he lost his quirk. Says a kid stole it from him. Naomasa nearly chokes with his coffee. What? I know. Like that is even possible. Besides, the kid is an angel. Couldn't hurt a fly. What's his name? The kid? Or the thug? Both. His colleague makes a funny face. Sakachi, you don't need to look into it. The man is clearly lying. What would he gain by lying? Sansa shrugged. The police station is just 2 blocks away from the bank they tried to rob. He's clearly not clever.
True.
I'm just curious. Really curious. It's not every day that you hear about a quirk like that. Unless you knew about All Might quirk and about All for One. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He is drinking his 4th cup of coffee by now, but he needs it. The man's name is Tabawaka Mihai. Quirk. Ultimate Shield, which allows him to rearrange the carbon in his body to make his skin as hard as diamond. And right now, he claimed to have lost it. Half an hour later, the detective is watching the security footage, the 3rd camera, the last 35 seconds.
There.
The second Tanawaka touched a white-haired boy, red sparks run through them, which cause a drastic change in Tabawaka's appearance. His once dark and hardened skin suddenly softened. His quirk just stopped working. Naomasa focused on the boy. According to Sansa, the boy is quirkless. Only 20% of the world population are nowadays. But it still didn't answer his questions. If that was true, then what were those red sparks from the footage? Why would Tanawaka lie about losing his quirk? What really happened that day in the bank? God, how is this my life? His phone rang. Toshinori is near the police station and wants to chat. The hero certainly has good timing. Cracking his neck, Tsukachi types back, saying that he will be there. Luckily, his lunch break is just 10 minutes from now. He closes the files, hiding the documents in his drawer, deciding to not mention them to his friend. It's not like he wants to hide that from Toshinori, he just wants to be sure before making any accusations. The man sighs. Of all the things that could happen on a Friday, he stumbles across that. Ichigo Saito never got along with children, especially brats like Bakugo Katsuki and his gang. Honestly, he was such a cute kid. What the hell went wrong? The kid thought he was the eighth wonder of the world, that he would be the new #1 hero because of his quirk. Yes, the boy had potential, but what would happen when he faces a problem that couldn't be solved with a punch or by screaming at it? What then? What would happen if someone better comes along? Someone who is better trained, well-mannered? It would be a mess that not even Freud could handle. But the second holder of One for All had more urgent matters to deal with right now. Izuka had just got beat up and was biting his lip to keep his voice in. After he got up, the boy went to a public restroom to wash his face and clean his uniform. The last thing their boy wanted to do is worry his mother. That doesn't stop them from getting worried. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. His husband is this close to a mental breakdown. Yoichi, please. Our nephew and sister-in-law are being questioned by the police. And we all know what happens back there, so forgive me for being nervous. Izuka did nothing wrong. It's not like he wanted to take that quirk, it was... They won't see it as an accident. Nana put her hand on his friend's shoulder, trying to calm him. It would all be over soon. She is probably trying to distract Yoichi from the pro hero who is staring at Izuku, but still... Well then, thank you for your time, Midoriya-kun. Now, if you EXC-. Is that the notebook kid?
What? Oh wow.
It is him.
Guys.
It's the notebook kid. What kind of nickname is that? Sorry, but it makes a lot of sense. It really did. Way better than Deku. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. You're also going for you, aren't you, Midoriya? That son of a bitch. He did that on purpose. Not likely, but the end result is the same. Every student started to laugh, and like always, the teacher did absolutely nothing to stop them, like the incompetent bastard that he is. If there is one thing he can't tolerate is incompetence, it's part of the job. If you are incompetent during a battle, you die. If you are incompetent during an investigation, you die. And if you work with incompetent people, well, you might die saving them. Like always, Bakugo started to snarl like a fighting dog, with the same old story. He's going to surpass All Might, good luck with that, of how he was so much better than Izuku, lies, etc., etc. Really, the boy is a broken record. What can you even do? More than you. You poor excuse of a Pomeranian. They all agreed on that. But hopefully that will be the last of it. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Of course, it wasn't the last of that. The second they were alone, Katsuki started the speech. How he wanted to be the only one of their school to go to the UA for some stupid, petty reason, and how Izuku would jeopardize that. Apparently, to be the #1 hero, you need to follow a script. In other words, don't you dare get into a nerd. Or what? You're going to throw a tantrum, Daigoro?
What?
He keeps acting like he's perfect, but he's just a bully. That may be true, but honestly, he's a dumb kid who doesn't know any better. Of course, that doesn't excuse the bullying and name-calling, but it can't get any worse, right? You want to be a hero so bad? I've got a time-saving idea for you. If you think you'll have a quirk in your next life, go take a swan dive off the roof. Did he really just say that? What the fuck, Pomeranian? What the actual fuck, kid? The hell is wrong with you? Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. It happens on the way home. Some slime got hold of Izuku, and they are all freaking out. That thing slash guy is choking their kid, and they can't do anything. Fear not, kid. Wait, is that? I am here. That's our other boy. Thank God for your kid, Nana. Said hero is smiling with pride. Oh shit, Izuku don't dash. Ah crap, he fainted. Yoichi and Nana are kneeling by the kid's side, ignoring Tashinori while the other man worked to contain the villain, who was literally blown to pieces. After he was done, he picked up Izuku's notebook, reading for a while before signing. Oh, he's going to love that. That's a future heirloom right there. Then Tashinori starts to gently slapping Izuku's face to wake him up. Hey, just shake him on the shoulder. It's not that hard. Of course, the blonde can't hear them. But eventually, Izuku wakes up and goes into fanboy mode. It seems like he wants to ask something, but it's not like he can do much. Eighth is a busy man, besides he is about to jump and… Oh, Christ, his nephew is going to be the death of him. At least the second time around. Possibly by a heart attack. You just don't grab into someone's leg when they are about to take off, flying to somewhere. Oh my God. Why on earth would you do that? Don't let go of the leg. Don't let go of the leg. For God's sake, Tashinori, land already. He did, coughing blood as he does. Oh shit, his time limit. I have a bad feeling about this. That is not the time to quote Star Wars Yoichi. Smoke began to rise, but Izuku wasn't paying attention. He was busy asking what he really wanted to know. Could he become a hero, even without a quirk? Could he save people with a fearless smile as well? Well, don't you dare to finish that sentence, Shinomori. Look, I'm just saying. If my nephew gets dragged into this, I will have 30 aneurysms followed by 57 heart attacks. Not to mention the panic attacks. Besides, can you imagine the kind of backlash that power would do to his body? They all wince at the same time. That boy would break his bones like Kit Kat being smashed by a toddler. The smoke clear, and Tashinori's true self is on display for everyone to see. He looks even thinner and sicker than any of them remember, which is saying something. His hair is a mess, his eyes are hollow, and he looks… God, he looks so tired. How couldn't he be? He has been fighting for 40 years and paid the price every single time he was in the field. Every single blow was met with blood, sweat, and tears. He had few allies and even fewer friends. Yagi just sighs as he sat and shows Izuku his scar. No matter how many times they see it, it will always make them uncomfortable. It was like a constant reminder of the weight of all the responsibilities of fighting all for one. A symbol of peace who saves people with a smile must never be daunted by evil. Forced smiles and memorized lines for interviews. Always empty words. That's all the public knew. They can't ever know about the broken and mangled man behind those blindingly smiles. The reason I smile is to stave off the overwhelming pressure and fear I feel. That's what happens when you decide to carry the world's weight on your shoulders. A pro should always be ready to risk his life. Without power, can one become a hero? No, I should think not. They understand why Yagi is saying that, they really do. If Izuku had made that same question a couple of years before, maybe the answer would be different. Perhaps the older man would say that it wouldn't be easy, that Izuku would have to work 5 times harder than anyone. But back then, Tashinori hadn't lost his stomach and half of his respiratory system. Back then, he wasn't slowly dying. It's not wrong to dream. However, you need to be realistic, kid. And then he left, leaving Izuku behind. Guys? What now, third? Where's the bottle? What? 8 doesn't have it anymore. What are you talking about? Of course, he dash. Fourth stopped talking after hearing the explosion. The heroes look at one another. Do you guys think? Oh, come on. That Pomeranian can't be the only one with an explosive quirk.
Sure.
And my brother isn't a homicidal maniac. Yoichi. What? They heard it before they see it. It was like a freaking war zone, the explosions, the fire, and debrides. Thank God no one died, but the smell of blood is hanging in the air. There are people screaming, but that's always expected in situations like this. Izuku is heading that way, and as soon as he gets there, the boy will ignore common sense and watch the fight closely. He is first and foremost a curious individual, and a hero junkie. Yoichi and Ichigo stare at him. No offense. First rolls his eyes, still angry about every single thing that happens on this day so far. Too late, fucker. I've taken plenty of it.
Oh well.
Nana frowns for some reason. Wait for a second, is that? The real surprise is seeing that slime thing again. Holding Katsuki as a host, using the boy quirk at will. Oh fuck. Morita. It's not like he can hear us. For God's sake, there are 3 heroes here. Why aren't they doing anything? Saito Sama is frowning, clearly trying to make sense of what is happening in front of them. And then it clicks. They are waiting for someone with the right quirk. What? That young woman has some kind of gigantification quirk, and this is a single-lane street. Kamui Woods can't get near the villain. Death Arms won't be able to get a proper hold of Katsuki because of the said villain. And Backdraft has his hands full of putting out the fire. And scoffed. A true pro hero has to be so much more than their quirks. True, but it's not like they can lecture the living right now, no matter how much they want to. And as infuriating it is, all they can do is watch, just like Izuku is doing it right now. Pathetic. Pathetic. Hashiza looks around, searching for Tashinori. One for all is such a strange quirk. It really is. They might be dead. Some of them have been gone for decades, but they still have a connection to the living just because of it, even if it's only to Izuku and Tashinori. He finds him, hand clenching his oversized t-shirt, right above his scar, and it is a pitiful sight that everybody else is unaware of. No one cares about some sickly-looking man leaning to a post. Izuku arrived at the scene in that very second and quickly connected the dots. This is my fault. It's my fault All Might can't do anything. This guy can't be caught. We have to wait for someone with the right quirk to show up. Hang in there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Someone will come to save you soon. 2 minutes. That's how long an average person can go on without oxygen. It is clear that Bakugo Katsuki doesn't have that long. A hero's bound to come dash. Finally, Izuku sees who is being held hostage. And on cue, Midoriya Izuku's body moves on its own. He dashes forward, without thinking, just like a superhero in his origin story. Page 25. He throws his back bag, hitting that goop thing right in its eyes, and it gives Izuku a window of opportunity to do something, even knowing that it won't do any good. You looked like you needed saving. That is enough to cause a reaction from 8. The crowd started cheering because of course, they do. God. When did their job become a popularity contest? There was absolutely no need for you to put yourself in danger. Excuse me? Didn't see you doing shit, buddy. Say that to my face, you son of a bitch. Sweetheart, leave his mother out of this. But Ichigo dash. While Yoichi and Banjo are busy bullying the pro heroes, Hashizu is paying attention to Katsuki, who instead of receiving proper help to deal with this traumatic experience, is receiving future proposes to be a sidekick for some dude when he becomes a hero student. Well, that says a lot about society's priorities right now. After being wrongly scolded, Izuku heads home and is immediately interrupted by Bakugo. I never asked you to save me. As if you could.
Huh.
Well, I could have beaten him myself. How dare a quirkless failure like you take pity me, trying to win me over. Don't you dare mock me. Stupid nerd. That boy needs a therapist far more desperately than Anakin Skywalker ever needed one. In the original trilogy or the prequels? Both. And then Yagi shows up in his hero form to immediately puff off and cough blood.
Kid.
I've come to thank you and revise what I said earlier. I also have a proposal. Izuku, the poor sweet kid that he is, tried to shrug it off, but Tashinori stopped him. Of all the people at the scene, it was only you, timid and quirkless, who acted. You spurred me to action. Izuku is holding back his tears. Most of the top heroes show signs of greatness, even as children. Many of them claim that their bodies simply moved before they could think. That's what happens to you back there, yes. The boy is sobbing as he answers. My boy, you can be a hero. He had that dream again. His 4th birthday party. But now, he wasn't experiencing the memory. He was seeing it from afar as if it was a short movie of some kind. Well, what kind of quirk do you want to have? Did his father's voice always sound so menacing? Yours and Mom's quirks are amazing, I don't mind. His father smiled even more as if Izuku had said something funny. Mom always loved Daddy's smiles, but right now they seemed wrong. It was sinister, too wide, and almost predatory. It was dangerous. Oh, really? I'm honored, but... His father smiled again, and even knowing this was a memory, or a dream of a memory, Izuku shivered. If you could choose a quirk, any quirk at all, what would you like it to be?
He stopped.
The air grew heavier, and it became hard to breathe. He wants to wake up now. No, he needs to wake up now. It will happen any second now, but did it always take this long?
Ah.
He whispers into his father's ear like he was telling a very important secret. Dread filled Izuku's soul. Something important will happen next, and the boy's mind is buzzing. A loud and incessant noise, like 100,000 of forks thrown into a garbage disposal. His heart is beating so fast, and, God, he remembers now. He remembers what he said. All Might's quirk. His father's smile became even wider. And so wrong. It was like Izuku told him a hilarious joke, something too good to be true. His father kisses his forehead. All right then. I will get that for you, don't you worry. He whimpers. Panic kept rising and he wanted to leave, to run away from it. He wants to hide. He needs to dash. A hand is on his shoulder. Breathe. He turns around, and he wakes up with a name on his lips. Yoichi. It is safe to say that they all reacted differently to Toshinori's proposal. Most of them are on the fence, others disagree with the decision Yagi made. Hikage rubs his eyes. They've been arguing about this for days, and it is useless. It's not like they can reach Toshinori and convince him to change his mind or anything. Not to mention that would crush Izuku's spirit once and for all. It would be too cruel. But honestly, what was the man thinking? You just don't drag a minor into such a big mess like that. It's just a whole new level of stupid. And I'm going to ruin this kid's life by giving a godlike power that will put him right in the middle of a secret war with a 200-year psychopath murderer, who just happens to be said kid's father. All while, without parent consent. Level of stupidity. And it sure didn't help how quickly Izuku agreed with the whole thing, proving that the boy really doesn't have a single cell of self-preservation in his body. Well, here goes nothing. I agree with 8. It is quite outstanding how quickly they stop talking. Ichigo is staring at him like he committed a crime. Like eating a Hawaiian pizza in front of an Italian, but worse. Excuse me? Okay, perhaps that wasn't the smartest thing to say. Yoichi-san, I understand how you feel. None of us likes the idea of Izuku putting himself at risk. But Yagi chose him as his successor, and the least we can do is respect that, and... You can't possibly understand how I feel. All I ever wanted is for Izuku to live a quiet and safe life, away from all the mess that my brother does. But that ship has fucking sailed, didn't it? It had sailed since Izuku started to watch pro heroes fight up close, but again, not the smartest thing to say to such a protective uncle. Toshinori is being reckless and stupid. I'm sorry, Nana, he is. He couldn't wait another day to choose? For crying out loud. What about you'd, What about Sir Night High's suggestion? En interferes, coming to Shinomori aid. You don't even like the man. Of course I don't like him. The man acts like he has a stick up his. Honey. The man rolls his eyes, choosing to ignore his husband's plea. Sure, some of them didn't like Mirai, but the man was competent enough for them to ignore certain things. Except for the whole, I used my quirk on you when you were unconscious, without your permission thing. But moving on. If this is about Izuku's quirkless, what does that have to do with anything? Toshinori was quirkless when Nana meets him, and he did great things. Hell, being quirkless saved him. Besides, my nephew has a quirk. He has one and doesn't know how to use it or how it really works. Like it or not, he has a disadvantage. Everyone else had years to fully understand their quirk and how far they can really go. What do you think will happen if 8 gives him one for all? For crying out loud, Hikage, our quirk hurt you. He touches his face where his scars are. He knows the danger of wielding such power, but he trained for years to control it. They all did. And that's precisely why he knows Izuku will do great. It's not just because he misses the boy, no. He feels in his soul that Izuku can do great things if given the chance. He can learn.
How?
8 will teach him. Besides, he's training to get an UA. It's not like Yagi will be his only teacher. Sure, he would be the only teacher who really understood Izuku's possible, hopefully future quirk, but perhaps it's wishful thinking, but he just needs to say it out loud, even if only to change the subject. I think Izuku is starting to listen to us again. He hates how that shuts them up. He can feel the looks of pity, and he just knows that they are about to walk on eggshells around him for the rest of the day. The truth is that they all miss Izuku, and it was awful when the little boy decided to ignore them, completely convinced that they were fiction. But it was harder for him because he tried so hard to prove Izuku wrong. He even broke their #1 rule: never tell Izuku that they are dead, that they really existed. He gave him their heroes' names, top secret information that could put the Midoriya family at risk. But it didn't work. Izuku kept ignoring them, and that only made Hikage more desperate. The very last thing he did was fight Shinomori. The little boy screamed, cried, and threw things at him, saying how much the man was being mean by giving Izuku false hope. And one of the last things Midoriya said, "If you are real, then I'm glad you are dead." The man closes his eyes. Deep breaths, just like Mother taught him. 1 in, 1 out. Again, again, and again. It usually helps, but...
Well.
He opens his eyes again. He saw us in his dream. He spoke your name out loud, Saito-sama. Either he is remembering us or acknowledging us again. Ichigo points out that they can't reach the boy, not as they used to. Maybe not now. But when Izuku gets our quirk, maybe the connection will be stronger. When. Not if. When. Nana bites her lip, and he knows what she will say even before she does it. Just because 8th can't reach us, that doesn't mean... His teacher interfered. Tashinori had won for all, for 40 years. 40 long and hard years, and not once he managed to talk with us, not even after his fight with All for One. But this is Izuku we are talking about. He managed to talk and see us without it. He did that since the day he was born. You can't possibly compare the two of them like that. If he can see us again, then we can teach him. Yoichi sighs, almost as if he is tired, almost as if he is dealing with a child. It's not a matter if he can learn.
He is smart like that.
It's a matter of how fast he can do that. The second Tashinori passes our quirk, his control over it will slowly decrease before vanishing completely. But he is the #1 hero, has been for 40 years just like Morita pointed out, and when he retires, there will be a vacuum. What really bothers me is that Yagi isn't just giving Izuku a quirk, he is basically turning him into his successor, the next symbol of peace. And Izuku will do everything in his power to not let All Might down. That's true, but what can they really do now? They are only witnesses to all of this.
A beach.
They are on a goddamn filthy, garbage-infested beach. The Dagoba Beach, to be precise. There are literary mountains of trash bags and old stuff. The smell is horrid, and just staying there is a health violation on its own, considering how much rusted metal is around. Izuku better had taken his tetanus shot, and dear God, the last thing Yagi needs is to catch some kind of infection. But according to All Might's pass the test, American Dream Plan, Izuku needs to clean said beach so that the boy's body can properly prepare itself to receive their quirk. Bullshit really, because how likely is that a pipsqueak of a child can prepare his body in 10 months? Shimura defends herself, saying that she definable taught the blonde better than that. Still, the training continues. For the next 10 months, Izuku did everything by the book. He changes his diet, trained, studied, and worked like never before, just like first predicted. And yes, he overworked himself because he wanted to be a great hero like All Might. It is worrisome, especially because the U.A exam was today, but the kid did delivery just in the nick of time. Oh my
Goodness.
Yeah, you can say that. Izuku is trembling, probably because of how exhausted he is, but he is smiling. Feels like I cheated. Thought. Getting all this help from you, All Might. I've been blessed. All Might laugh. You know, they say there's a big difference between being born with that silver spoon and working your butt off to earn it. Take this to heart, kid. You've earned this power, fair and square. That made most of them smiled. And then Yagi ruins it by plugging his hair and giving it to Izuku.
Eat this.
Pardon. They all looked at Nana. How exactly did you pass one for all to him again?
She sighed.
I diluted my blood in a cup of tea and gave it to him. Then why the fuck dash? Language.
Huh.
Saito-sen really is the mom friend of the group, isn't he? After little Machi eats that hair, and almost choking on the damn thing, Yagi tells Izuku how to use the quirk. Great timing on his part, considering that the exam is the next 3 fucking hours. Saito-sama is fuming, just like he had for the past week. Clench your butt and yell smash. Forget fuming. The man is going to pop into existence by sheer will alone just so he can kill Yagi, probably putting Ted Bundy to shame in the process. Ichigo will definitely help get rid of the evidence. Yagi Tashinori, I taught you better than this, what the fuck? I know he is supposed to be a himbo, but this is too much. But there is no time to worry, so little Machi runs to his home and gets ready. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. That's a huge building. Is that really a school? Yep. And the director is a mouse? I thought he was a bear. Look, I don't know the specifics of his species, but UA is the #1 for a reason. Their kid is smiling from ear to ear, so excited to be there. They can feel how happy he is at the moment. I'm not gonna let anyone get in my way. And he tripped. I'm a failure. After all that hard work. I'm sorry, All Might. Sorry, Mom.
Kid.
Stop calling yourself that. God, I've been falling for a long time. Oh no. He's becoming self-aware. Someone taps him on the head, and suddenly he is floating. Well, it's a bad omen to trip and fall. In gasp. Toe beans. What? She has toe beans. Oh yes, 6th was a cat person. I talked to a girl. No, you didn't. Stop making that face, kid, it's weird. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis.
The writing exam is confusing to them.
Sure, they knew some things, mostly because of experience. But math? Fuck math. Ugh, just being here is giving me PTSD about exams. Oh good, it isn't just him feeling that. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Do you know that random video that lives rent-free in your head? Well, to Daigoro Banjo, that video was the one where a cockatoo dances to Elvis. And the blonde cockatoo/DJ, sorry, Present Mike is literally sending the same vibes. Izuku, of course, is vibrating with excitement and muttering up a storm, just like when first we're talking about space battles or Metacum or something like that. Some random kid raises his hand, and just, look, the pro hero doesn't know what he does, but the kid talks like a lawyer. And you, with the curly hair, you've been muttering this whole time. It's distracting. If this is some sort of game to you, then please leave immediately. Never mind, the kid is an ass. Bitch, you're the one who is distracting. Suddenly standing up and giving a speech like that. Who do you think you are? Honey. Shimura is sighing. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. The practical exam is complete chaos. Robots being destroyed left and right, people running and being faster and better than Izuku. Ugh, saying that the last sentence leaves a sour taste in his mouth, but it is true. The kid is frozen, panicking, and hasn't got a single point to himself. And then the 0-pointer shows up. Holy fuck. How do they pay for that? Of course, every teenager is running in the opposite direction. Except for Izuku because he saw Toe Beans is trapped under Debrides. Okay, maybe he will try moving some of the debris, and Izuku jumps. Oh crap, never mind. No. Izuku. They can feel it, the same tingling sensation of their quirk coming to life, of how the muscles tense right before the first blow. But it's too much, almost like,
oh, shit.
They are immediately pale, because he will be using 100%, without gradually increasing the percentage. And it looks like he is going to focus all on his arm. They all picture broken Kit Kat and cringe. Lo and behold, little Machi punches it and obliterates the stupid thing. It would be a very badass moment if Izuku hadn't broken both of his arms and legs in the process. Yoichi Saito screamed quite a lot of curse words, and for once, the man's husband didn't bother to censure him.
Because he's doing the exact same thing.
And the kid is falling, his arm and legs swaying in the wind. Oh crap. How's he going to land? Slap. They all blink. What the hell, toe beans? But then it hits them. She is helping Izuku by slowly getting him to the ground. And then the time is up. Banjo rubs the back of his neck.
Now what?
If he could, he would hug the living shit of toe beans. Sure, it's an unusual way to save someone's life, but you never look a gift horse in the mouth. God, Izuku is panting and hold on a second, is he trying to get up? Izuku, please. You're hurt. It's no use, but they shouldn't be surprised. Their little Machi is fiercely determined. Or stubborn, depending on the situation. Saito-san swears on his sister's grave that the kid got that from Yoichi-sama. It must be true because First never tried to prove otherwise. It's all over. We know, dipshit. Please, shut up. Are legs even supposed to bend like that? Or, to be that purple? When they're broken, sure. He looks around, noticing how many people are watching now, and wants nothing more than to use his quirk, even if it's only to protect Izuku from judging eyes and sarcastic comments. Bunch of nosy little shits. No way. She still works here? He looks at Shimura with a raised eyebrow. The woman just points to an old lady. That's Recovery Girl.
Oh.
Is the cane an actual syringe, or is it just for show? Dude. Yoichi-san is frowning. It doesn't make sense.
What?
This test doesn't make sense. They let him elaborate because he has that look on his face. It's just, that's it? This is the kind of test the best hero school in Japan has to offer? And Nana, the director. I remember Izuku reading about his quirk. He wrote, and I quote, "High spec grants Nezu unparalleled intelligence, perception, and comprehension that far surpasses that of a human." And all he could come up with is this. A practical test that clearly favors physical's quirks. Yoichi-san. And another thing. Ah crap, he is in a role. Look, I know that there weren't any hero schools in my day, but how can they really evaluate their students' worth in a battle like this? No victims, no real obstacles, nothing. Just punch your way through it, kids. And what would they do if any of these kids decide to work together? Then what? Morita-san raises his hand, but Ichigo-san stops him. He's in the zone, guys. Just let him have this. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. The ride home was so awkward. Hell, the next week was literally uncomfortable for them. Morita is incredibly annoyed by the silent treatment Tashinori is giving to Izuku, but the blonde has become a teacher from Maybe he just can't contact Izuku right away. Still, he's just smiling at the fish. Should we be worried? Of course we should. The letter? It should come today or tomorrow, right?
Oh.
Your dear old mom thinks it's wonderful that you even tried. Midoriya Inko is a saint of a woman, and every single one of them will mud wrestle God to protect her if they need to. Even so, they glance at Izuku. The boy is in a kind of limbo. He's just doing things on autopilot since the day of the exam, and it is concerning. Nana, when your kid took the exam, did it take this long for him to receive an answer? No, not really. Hashi's groan. Still, I just want that thing to arrive already. And I just want my brother to drop dead Morita, but we can't dash.
10 minus telo.
Izuku. It's here. The letter. It's really here. So, Yoichi, do you want it to be a heart attack or an aneurysm? As long as it works, I'm fine with either. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Even if you pass the written proportion, getting 0 points on the practical naturally results in failure. Watch it. You're already in thin fucking ice 8. You know he can't hear you, right? I mean, even if he was her, ouch. That jab on the ribs is justified. And rolls his eyes and focuses on Izuku, who is holding back his tears. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it, but I'm pathetic. Shimura puts her hand on his shoulder, and he looks in her direction.
Oh, that
makes them hold their non-existing breath. They are hardly paying attention to the video, it's only background noise at this point. 8th is talking about how Beans searched the teachers and asked for them to give Izuku some of the points she earned. That boy. He saved my life. 8th continues, revealing that A also had rescue points, proving that once again, Yoichi-sama has an incredible eye for detail. You're in. Come on, Midoriya. This will be your hero, Academy. Oh my god, he's in. They widen their eyes. Oh fuck, he is in. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Izuku meets All Might the next night. One for all. My body is broken after a single punch or kick. I just can't wield it. Yagi argues that such a reaction was completely natural and expected given the circumstances. Wait a fucking second. He knew that would happen. And didn't say anything? Well, there wasn't enough time, but everything worked out all right. Or should I say All Might? Yeah, Nana can't save her student after this. He can picture Yagi's tombstone. Here lies Yagi Tashinori, who died because of a stupid pun and tempt fate by messing with protective family members. The more you temper your vessel, the better you can control the power. That's your advice. Do you seriously expect him to keep breaking his damn limbs until he has better control of our power? Nana, I'm blaming your coworker on this one. Hey, what does Torino have to do with this? His training method was to beat the living shit off 8th until he puked. Yeah, that checks out. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. The teachers in Aldred Junior High are a bunch of fucking hypocrites. How wonderful that 2 of our students made it into. Oh, so now you care about him. How much do you guys want to bet that Pomeranian over there is going to accuse Izuku of cheating? What dirty tricks did you use to do it, you quirkless twerp? Huh. Jesus. Be less predictable. And now he is going to give that same damn speech of how he was supposed to be the first and only student of that school to ever go to UA.
He does just that. Ugh.
As someone told me that I could become a hero. Kaken. I earned this. That's why I'm going to be here no matter what. Oh, they are so goddamn proud of him. It's official. He is losing his mind. Ever since that dream, he feels like he is being watched. He would look over his shoulders and seeing dark silhouettes, he would hear whispers from different voices from time to time. But there is no time to think about that now. He starts at UW today. He can't waste time thinking about such theories. Rude. He takes a deep breath. Not now, brain. He checks everything again, answering his mother as she speaks. You look great, Izuku. He smiles, happiness blooming at his chest. And for some odd reason, he agreed with his mother. This is what he fought so hard for, and it's finally happening. Look how far you came, kid. We are so proud. Izuku can't help himself, he smiles. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He shouldn't be running in the corridor, but he can't arrive late on his first day of class. I forgot how big this place is. He stops for a second. How? How could he ever have forgotten about you, if he has never been there before? That question is bothering him so much, he doesn't even realize when he arrives at the 1A classroom. He blinks, still feeling a little confused, but opens the door anyway, and sees Kaken and that rude boy from the day of the exam. In the very next second, he feels the annoyance rising, the muscles tensing themselves. And it doesn't make sense. He is never annoyed when meeting Kaken, maybe a little tired and sad, but not annoyed. And he doesn't know the other kid. He just listens to them arguing. Is it really that when only Kaken is doing the screaming and being so damn rude, like, come on you stupid Pomeranian? Stop. That's not him. He doesn't feel like that, he doesn't think like that. UGH, the rude ASS kid is coming to this way. No. His name is Ilda Tenya. He comes over and starts talking to Izuku, congratulating him for understanding the true nature of the exam. Izuku has to stop himself from rolling his eyes because really, IT was so obvious. But the truth is that he didn't notice anything about the exam. He didn't know about the rescue points until All Might spoke of them in the projection. So why does he feel like he knew all along? The nice girl arrives, and his mind immediately screams, "Toe beans," like he is some cat lover. But she is so close that he can't help to blush. She is still talking, saying how happy she is to meet him again until, if you're here to socialize, then get out. This is the hero course. Is that a homeless guy? Caterpillar man. What's going on with his brain today? The man raises to his feet, introduces himself as their homeroom teacher, and tells them to change clothes and meet him outside, where he explains what he wants them to do. The idea of the exercise is so they can know their limits, and most of his classmates are excited with the idea of using their quirks at Standard's gym test. One of them makes the mistake of saying how awesome that would be. Awesome, you say? You're hoping to become heroes after only 3 years here, and you think it'll be all fun and games?
Right.
I think you should know, the student with the lowest score across all 8 events will be judged hopeless, and will be expelled.
He's joking, right?
Is that allow? Dude, what the F you see? Say CK right now, motherfuck dash. While Izuku was blushing with what the voices were saying, he understood the sentiment. Panic and anger filled his body in a matter of seconds, because he didn't have control of One for All. The image of his broken limbs came back with the pain, and Izuku had to bite his lips to stop himself from whimpering. The quirk is too powerful right now, and he doesn't truly know how to regulate how much he needed or even could use. What do I do?
Breath.
You need to breathe. We will figure something out, kid.
No.
No. Why should he believe in some strange voices in his head? Why should he? Izuku. This voice is firm. A stern tone, the kind of family member uses when they are about to talk with you and wants your full attention. The same tone his mother used when she argues that he couldn't spend his allowance exclusively on hero merch. That next voice is gentler, still firm but kinder. This is not ideal. But we will figure it out, kid. But please breathe. He takes a deep breath. 1 in. Holds in. 1 out. And releases it. Now it's for real. He feels when one of them gives him a few pats on his back. One after another, he failed the exams. Every time he considers using All Might quirk, the memory of his broken body came flooding back into his mind. Not anymore. It's your power, Izuku, yours. What good is having that power if I can even use it right? Maybe it is a little bit harsh to speak like that to them, to himself. It does sound like they're trying to help, but it's frustrating. It's almost like he is not even trying because of how scared he is. The boy bit his lips, deciding once and for all to use it. Damn the consequences. He needs to score enough points. He can't go down without a fight. He thinks about his mother. About All Might.
About them.
He hasn't thought about them in a long time. Of course, you can be a hero, little Machi. His grip on the ball strengthens while Izuku summons One for All. It runs like wildfire through his arm, the raw power rising so fast. He throws it. 46 meters.
Huh?
Wait. He used it, right? He was about to, but it felt like. Shut it. Izuku is too confusing to make sense of what they're talking about. I erased your quirk. The fuck are you, liquid paper? Shut it up. Okay, now he is way too focused on finally realizing who his teacher is to pay any attention to the voices. I saw it. How you can't control your quirk. You'd just be incapacitated again. Were you hoping someone would step in to help afterward? And no, it's not like that. His teacher, Scarf, squeezes him. Whatever you were planning, it would have inconvenienced those around you. Eraserhead, eraser, not liquid paper. Where did they come up with that? Goes on, saying how reckless Izuku is being and says he can't become a hero with his quirk.
Met me in the
fucking
pit.
Mr. Liquid Paper. And you can't keep speaking if I break you FUC. Language. Izuku takes a deep breath before going again.
He knows what he needs to do.
Not yet.
Wait.
Not yet.
Hold on.
Not yet. Izuku. I'll give it my all in the smallest way. Now. The ball flies away, 705.3 meters away. Sensei, I can still move. His teacher is smiling. And the voices are cheering like it's the new year, until Kaken starts running in his direction, demanding answers. Their teacher stops the other teen before anything bad happens. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Also, I was lying about expelling anyone. That was a rational deception meant to bring out the best in all of you. I am breaking his teeth. Move over.
How?
How can you possibly dash? Honey, you know I am made out of spite.
Ugh.
Little Zuzukoan first day at you. That A was intense. His classmates were wild, in the way only teenagers could be. His teachers were actually professionals, which is a very nice change of pace. Sure, Saito, Sama still wanted to punch Eraserhead teeths out, but that's very mild considering what the man wanted to do to Izuku Old's teachers. Protective tendencies run in the family. Another nice surprise was finding out that former rude-ass kid was actually nice really. Perhaps a little stiff and loud, but a nice kid nonetheless. They are voting what to call him. Rolls-Royce. Lame. Glasses. Even lamer somehow. Lamborghini. We are not going to name the kid after a car brand. She rolls her eyes and is about to say something when Toe Beans arrive with her bubbly personality, asking what they were heading to the station. She introduces herself and guesses the boys' names. Ida Tenya and Midoriya Deku. I beg your fucking pardon? She explains the reason for her mix-up, which really doesn't help her case. Who takes the ramblings of Bakugo Katsuki seriously? But Deku, well, it just screams, dear best. I kinda like it. I beg to fucking differ, kid. Deku's fine. Oh, good lord, he is a simp. Daigoro got a roundhouse kick in the face for that one. By Ichigo of all people. The first holder places his hand on his husband's shoulder, with a dark look in his eyes, while rolling his sleeves. Let him up. Oh, that's going to hurt. The ride home is quiet after that, the three kids chatting happily among themselves, but when Izuku is finally alone, he looks over his shoulders, right where the seven of them are. He squeezes his eyes like he is actually trying to see them. She carefully waves a hand to him, and it takes a while before he waves back, a clear, confused look on his face. He takes a deep breath. I don't know if any of you can hear me, or if you are even there, but I want to thank you guys. You were all really helpful back there. That makes them smile. Of course, he would do that. Of course, he would thank some random voices in his head, without even knowing what is going on. Well, you are welcome, kiddo. Whenever Mr. Liquid Paper gives you a hard time, we are here, okay? He looks in Daigoro's direction, proving once again that yes, their little Machi is hearing them again. That's not his name. He is Eraserhead, and rolls his eyes. Don't bother Izuku. He has a thing for nicknames. And cursing, which he'll tone it down. Hey. Izuku blushes. I don't mind the cursing. Honestly, I am used by now. Yes, he grew up with Katsuki. They spend the rest of the day talking to him, catching up on the lost time. Izuku has a million questions, and they answer the best way they can. It's too dangerous to even mention all for one right now, never mind the true identity of the said villain. Yes, they will have to tackle that subject, but they need to talk among them first before telling Izuku the truth. Before going to bed, the boy looks at them again.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for ignoring you for so long.
It
was kind of obvious after thinking about it. All of you. You were my imaginary friends from when I was a kid. Izuku. But Hikage-san was right, wasn't he? You were real. All of you were alive once.
And I was so mean to him.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry, Hikage-san. Fourth hugs him, squeezing the younger kid. It's all right. But it's all right. Izuku hugs Shinomori back. Lucky bastard.
Why?
How am I able to do this? We don't know, but we will figure it out, okay? He nods, gladly saving further questions for the next day. Their kid is way too tired to even bother himself with anything else. The second he sleeps, they are back in the void. They discuss what needs to be done. It goes on for hours, or what it seems like that, but they can't really agree with much. Yes, they will help Izuku handle one for all better, but that's it. None of them really knows what to do beyond that. Should they tell him everything, nothing at all, or simply parts of the real story? She massages her temples.
This is going to take a while.
Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They have quite a surprise the next day. Because, well, That's Tashinori's Vestige standing by Izuku's side. The poor guy is a mess, looking left and right, completely confused about why he is outside their shared consciousness. The golden spectrum looked at her, and Nana is flooded by so many strong emotions: confusion, fear, and excitement. Nana hugs him and asks what is the last thing he remembers. Tashinori answers with sign language, hands trembling a little. Inside void. Then outside.
Why?
I don't know, kid. Do you feel anything? Nervous. Scared. Okay, I'm here, don't worry.
Where? Now.
We're going to UA, remember little Machi? Tashinori nods, pointing at the kid. Well, he is the 9th holder now. And he is studying there. Isn't cool? Happy for him. She smiles. Thankfully, the others don't say anything about how she is treating her students Vestige. They all know he is basically her kid by now, and they respect that. After that, their day is relatively normal. They all go to UA, and while Izuku can tell something is different, he doesn't mention it for now. Nana explains every little question Toshi has about anything. It's nice. Until the afternoon class. He can relate to Schrödinger cat on a very personal level for 3 distinctive reasons. 1, he is not quite alive, but not quite dead either, so there's that. 2, he might be a one-for-all holder, but he is different from the other 7. They were living memories of fallen heroes, brave fighters against all for one, while Tashinori is a mere spectrum, a copy of the real man in the outside world. Last but not least, he couldn't interact with Izuku. And that one hurts the most. He still remembers the first day they came back after meeting the young child, of how worried they were with the idea of all for one raising a child. How dangerous he will be. Can't we do something? Saito-sama decided to keep a close eye on his nephew, mostly because it was something to do. It was either that or play truth or dare for the nth time. So they did. Of course, not everyone could go at the same time, because that would mean leaving him behind and completely alone. Shinomori-san came up with a rotation system that, and that is a direct quote, would allow them to keep both of their kids company. He tried saying that it was okay for them to go, but Nana gave him the look. No one can ever argue with the look.
So his non-life went on.
Every day he receives updates about Izuku's life, slowly adoring the child by every second. He is immensely proud to know how much the boy admires and adores the real Tashinori, and blushes every time Izuku buys another hero merchandising with his face on. Daigoro-san says that Izuku fanboy energy is a blessing in disguise, because that means All for One is spending quite a large amount of money buying hero merchandising. When he was finally getting used to this new routine, things changed. Izuku didn't pay attention to them anymore, and quite frankly it only went downhill from there. Until the real Yagi met the boy by chance, and chose the son of All for One to be his successor. Saito-sama looked like he was about to have an aneurysm or something. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. I have come through the door like a normal person. He face-bombs, completely embarrassed by Tashinori's performance. Normal persons don't come through doors while screaming. But really, there is no time to pay attention to that because his counterpart is explaining the exercise for the class. Battle training. Battle training? It's too soon for that. Tashinori. Yes. Oh, not you, sweetie. You are Toshi, okay? He nodded, but still, the adults are right. Those children don't look like they can even throw a good punch at someone or how to fight or defend themselves properly. Things could go south very easily. The children change into their costumes and head out. You'll now be split into villain teams and hero teams and face off in 2-on-2 indoor battles. So, no basic training? Practical experience teaches you the basics. No, it doesn't. I dare you to say the same thing to someone who has to disarm a bomb. The students started to make questions, all valid, except for the one with a cape who just kept staring at them like he was breaking the fourth wall or something. His counterpart finished his explanation with the help of a cheat sheet of all things before sorting the teams. And the first teams up are Team A, Izuku and the nice girl, and Team D, Katsuki and the kid with armor. Fuck.
Yes.
Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They are looming over Izuku's shoulder, looking quite intensely at the building blueprint, with serious looks on their faces, completely ignoring that the kid is technically talking to his classmate right now or how he can't respond to them without seeming crazy. Izuku, please memorize that. Remember the corners and corridors, the dead ends and window exits. Toshi tries to get their attention, but it's useless. Because this is their kid, who's going to fight his bully. A bully with anger issues and a volatile quirk to match his temper. A hero needs to use every tool in their disposition to gain an advantage. Everything that you can use against that jerk, use it. Midoriya clenches his fist. He may be a jerk, but he's amazing. His goals, his confidence, his strength, his quirk. He's stronger than me in every way. Izuku. But that's why I don't want to lose to him. That stops them because the real message is clear. Thank you, but I need to do this my way, so it can be my own merit. The Vestige looks around, expecting to see his predecessors disagreeing with the boy. But no, they have smiles on their faces, worried smiles, but smiles nonetheless. Okay, kiddo. Fuck him up. Banjo. Damn it, N, he said he doesn't mind. Successfully ignoring 5th and 6th banter, the white-haired boy enters the building, just to be immediately attacked by Katsuki, something that Izuku saw it coming. He can't help himself and signs the following. Beat his ass, young Midoriya. The kid does, by grabbing his childhood friend's arm and flipping him over his shoulder and into the ground. Fuck him up. Saito-sama, not you too. I'm not gonna be your worthless punching bag, Deku, forever. Kaken, I'm the DKU, who always does his best. Fuck him up. Nana just pats N on his back before saying that he should just give up on censoring their brothers in arms. The fight goes on, explosions and kicks and punches after another. Katsuki acted like Izuku's existence was a great offense to him, constantly saying that the other boy pisses him off, or calling Izuku a liar because he hid such a flashy quirk for so long. This is bad. The longer this goes on, Morita-san doesn't need to finish that sentence. Bakugo finds Izuku again, points that gauntlet at the other boy, and pulls the pin. There is a flash of light and energy that literally rocks the building, an attack aimed at young Midoriya. Toshi closes his eyes, waiting for the pain to hit them through their shared link. But it never comes, and that only confuses him more. Such a huge explosion, and Izuku is not even hurt. They look at him, truly look at him, and gasp with what they see. His skin is shiny black, red sparks running through his body. His costume is burnt, but there are no signals of damage to the skin. It was almost like a shield, just like that quirk from the bank robber a few years ago. Oh. Thank God Bakugo doesn't see it. The cloud of dust prevents from anyone really seeing things, and luckily enough, Izuku goes back to normal the next second. Not that it matters, because the blonde is coming yet again, and this time manages to hit Izuku at his back. But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, and at the same time, they can feel something changing in Izuku's skin when that happened. And, of course, Izuku notices it too, because he is not reacting as fast as he could. Deku, you're nothing comparing to me. Bitch, stop being a broken record. I know you're looking down at me. Oh, trust me, if he was, you would know. I wanna win. I wanna beat you, you idiot. Stop looking at me like that, you damned nerd, says the kid who insists on sleeping at 8:32 p.m. since he was 5. There is nothing wrong with a decent night of sleep, but yes. The two boys clash, Bakugo with another explosion that Izuku manages to redirect to hit the ceiling. That settles that. The hero team wins. They all freaked out after the training exercise, but there is nothing left for them to do. Izuku had passed out, either from stress or physical fatigue for using his quirk, his real quirk after so long. The boys' uncles are hovering over him, constantly checking for any injures, even knowing they won't find one. I want to know what kind of psycho in the support department agreed to even make that gear. Look, man, I don't know what to tell you. Those guys in support work are terrifying. Back in my day, there were some foreign folks named Pinako Rockbell and Dominic Lecoult, and they were in another whole level. I think I heard of them. Wasn't Pinako famous for mechanical prostheses? They both were. But they also added freaking cannons into those, or even a blade or two. Not important. I agreed with Toshi. Is there any way we can talk to Izuka now? He nods his head in disagreement. He can't reach the void whenever he wants. And he is completely unconscious, not asleep. Fuck. Daigoro. He ignores them and chooses to pay attention to the other students. Some of them clearly had talent, like that kid in a ponytail, who just gave a lecture on why Ida was the only student who did something right on the battle training exercise. He goes to stand by Toshinori's side and try to look at his notes about Class 1A, their names, ages, and quirks and such. What are we calling her?
Pardon?
The ponytail kid has a creation quirk that allows her to materialize different objects, such as weapons and tools, from any part of her body. Apart from living things, she has the potential to replicate virtually any object, no matter how complex or advanced its structure may be. She only requires to understand the atomic configuration of said object in order to reproduce. 3D printer? Dude.
What?
It works. Nana rolls her eyes and points to another kid, someone with a raven head. Tokoyami Fumikage, quirk, Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow grants Fumikage a shadowy, monster-like being from within his body that he can materialize and dematerialize at will. It's a rare case of a sentient quirk. So, you're telling me he has a raven head and a sentient quirk called Dark Shadow? Kid is literally Edgar Allan Poe, Wet Dream, or something. I was thinking about Shadow the Hedgehog, but fine. Next, Aoyama Yuga. Quirk, Naval Laser. Gives Yuga the ability to fire sparkly laser beams from his navel. Oh, his mother is French. Channel N²5. Next,
Acido Mina.
She can produce acid from her skin. I have a very poor taste joke about LSD, but don't.
Fine.
Bublem gir. They go on. Karapi.
Dude. Kermit.
The blonde kid with a black lighting strike on his hair is a debate. Pikachu is kind of obvious, but there is also Battery Pack and Duracell. The kid with grapes in his head, well, grape boy, but for some reason Nana is glaring at him. Woman intuition. Doc Ock for the kid with the mask, Scotch tape for the kid with the elbows, and Metapod for the red-haired kid. Yoichi wanted to call him the Rock, but Morita didn't want to risk the wrath of copyrights. Okay, first of all, we are dead, so how? Doesn't matter. But doesn't matter.
Fine.
Aside from Toe Beans and Bakugo, who else is missing? Look, I know we call him Pomeranian, but I'm thinking that Pinscher suits him better. Or Chihuahua. Or Explodo Bitch. I was thinking Sparky Boo Dash. Copyrights. As I was saying before being rudely interrupted, the ones missing are Hagakure, Todoroki, Jiro, Koda, Sato, and Ojiro. And the former rude-ass kid. Yes. For the girls, AUX Cord and Ultraviolet. Get it? Because she is invisible to human EY dash. You're going to pun prison for that one, N? I can live with that. Thank you very much. And the boys? Doesn't one of them talks to animals? Animal Whisper. The martial arts kid? Sun Wukong. You are giving this kid far too much credit. We haven't seen him fight. It was either that or Monkey Ninja, Todoroki, Katy Perry, or knockoff Zuko. And yes, I know, copyrights. But it was that or Icy Hot, and that sounds like something Katsuki would come up with. Okay, we are putting a pin on that. The other one. That one that constantly has to eat sugar, so his quirk can work? Sweet Tooth. That is the lamest thing I ever heard. Shut up, man. I'm not on the top of my game right now. Moving on. What about Ida? Autobot. Turbo. Sonic. What did I just said about copyrights? One of the things that many of his students don't know is when they are taking the exam, Nezu is paying very close attention to them. If any student catches his attention, for any reason at all, receives his indivisible interest. That means background checks, constant checking-ups about their progress at UA. Nezu dreams about the day he can give private lessons to one of his students, even if only to make his staff uncomfortable. He looked at the file on his desk. There were quite a few students that catch his eyes this year, but none quite as Yagi's successor. Oh yes, such an interesting case. Not a flashy boy, but worthy of Toshinori's time. That is clear enough. considering that the man chooses him instead of Togata Mirio. Midoriya's notes on the writing exam showed he is an intelligent boy, with quick thinking considering how fast he acted in the practice exam. It was quite easy to find information about the boy's mother and the boy himself, but his father? There was nothing. No photo, no working or residential address. Nezu only knew that the man worked overseas to support his family, along with a brief description about his quirk. He sips his tea, talking to himself. How perfectly vague, Mr. Midoriya. Someone might think that is on purpose. His phone rings, he is needed at the infirmary. The second he steps outside his office, however. Principal. Oh, hello, Aizawa-sensei. Here is he. The animal hero smiles, pretending to not know what the other is really asking, preferring to take another sip of his tea. His former student just glares at him, almost like a warning to not test him, but remembers halfway who he is dealing with. I just heard that Bakugo has sent Midoriya to the infirmary. Because, apparently, that blonde buffoon doesn't know when to interfere when a simple battle training exercise gets out of hand. I'm sure it's nothing serious. The erasure hero looks like he wants to say exactly what he really thinks about that. Not serious? Bakugo has been hostile to Midoriya since day one. They clearly have some kind of history together. Anyone with enough brain cells can tell they should not have been paired against each other. And what a history that was. He had seen the battle training footage in his tablet. Every exchange between Midoriya and Bakugo showed clear signals of a bullying history, and with all the school records of Aldred Junior High, it seemed to be something systemic, another case of quirkless discrimination at the time. Yes, I agree with you. Rest assured, I will be personally talking with Bakugo about his temperament. If he desires to continue in the hero course, he needs to have that in check, regular appointments with Hound Dog and such. Aizawa doesn't seem to like that, but let it go for now. With that dealt with, he goes in his way. And as soon as he gets there, the year only just started, and this is his third time here. Why didn't you prevent this, All Might? He giggles. Recovery girl sure knows how to scold someone. The number one hero is cowering at her, but still asks for the woman to keep it down since the true nature of his quirk and his connection to Midoriya has to remain a secret. Without me, this superhuman society would fall to evil. If it was anyone else saying that, Nezu would have a laughing fit, but it is sadly true. All Might is like Atlas, who is slowly losing his grip on the very sky he is supposed to be holding. Craving for a cigarette, the hero wonders about tomorrow. Word of the number one hero teaching at UD will come out. There is no way of stopping that. Whatever happens, they will be ready. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He was right in the end. The press went wild with the news of All Might teaching at UA. What he didn't expect was said press breaking in his school and causing a fuss. Nezu and a group of teachers looks at the crumples of what was once the UD gate. Whoever did this intend to leave a very clear message indeed. Very well then. This is war. Izuku is panting. He was running for almost 20 minutes, dogging and ducking from every attack Kaken throws at him. His body is sore, and his mind is running a marathon. His thoughts are loud, and the voices are even louder. The images of them even clearer now. There is a blonde man by his side. He's using a bandana on his head, and his hair is in a ponytail. There is a dark purple aura involving him. He comments on how bad the situation is, and how it can't go on for much longer. He won't die if he dodges. He pulls the pin, and all Izuku can think is how much he wants to not get hurt. If only he could protect himself somehow. And then, something happened. Ultimatum, SHILD. He was expecting the pain, the burning sensation, but it never came. He opens his eyes and is even more confused, because his costume is burnt, but he is not hurt. His skin is a shiny ebony black, and there are red sparks running through his body. And Izuku just knows this is not one for all. Is something else entirely. But what? He doesn't have time to think, because it vanishes at the same time Kaken jumps at him, another explosion ready and aimed at Izuku's back. Ultimatum, SHILD. This time he felt his skin change. It hardens itself like a defense mechanism working against his will or knowledge. It's too much. Too much pain, too much exhaustion, and too much information. He loses conscience. and wakes up in the infirmary listening to recovery girls scolding All Might. He is hazy right now. Maybe it's the side effect of recovery girl's quirk, but Izuku is overwhelmed, and it sure doesn't help that his classmates just surround him, bombarding him with questions and compliments. Suddenly too much attention. Far more than he can handle. So, he asks about Kaken and earns a stern look from them. One of the figures, a man surrounded by a blue aura and with a large jacket and a high collar that hides half of his face, groans.
Izuku, why?
He doesn't bother to answer. Izuku also has questions, too many of them. But right now, he owes Kaken an explanation. That makes them angry enough for Izuku to feel that burning sensation on the back of his mind. A dark red aura is walking by his side, a voice he now recognizes. You owe him nothing. Besides, what are you going to say? One for all is supposed to be a secret. I know that.
Do you?
Because it looks like you're going to spill the beans to your childhood bully. Banjo. Izuku takes up his pace, trying to leave them behind. Not that it would work, of course, but there is still the intention. They are still arguing among themselves, a collection of blurry figures, colorful auras, and different voices. He is still getting used to all of this, but it's not as deafening as before. Finally, he spots his friend, Kaken. The blonde looks at him with a scold on his face, but Izuku didn't come this far to be afraid. They are all screaming in his head, trying to change his mind. I can't say much, but this quirk, it doesn't feel like my own. I got it too late, even for a late bloomer, so I don't know how to use it right. That's why I tried to beat you without it. I've got a long way to go. That's why. That's a good way to say it, right? Because it's true. One for all doesn't feel like his own quirk, just like that power. There is so much he doesn't understand right now, but he knows at least one thing. If he got this power, he is going to use it. He will figure it out a way because he didn't come this far to stop now. That's why I'm going to make it my own someday. And overcome you with my power. In retrospect, saying that probably wasn't the smart thing he has done that day considering how Kaken reacted. Not to mention the lecture he got from All Might. And them, of course. And while a part of him wanted to tell All Might about what happened at the battle training exercise, they advise him against it. None of them know everything yet. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. There is a sea of reporters at the school gate. Sooner or later the press would find out about All Might's job at but still. Izuku, friends? Mentors? He still doesn't know what to call them now. The point is that even they are shocked. Look, I know that they have to earn their bacon, but isn't this excessive? Izuku agrees with them and tries to avoid the press. It doesn't work, but he gets in, so that's a win in his book. After getting scolded/praised by his teacher, Eraserhead told them they needed to pick a class president. One of his friends/mentors, a man with white hair and a shiny aura, closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and says in the most solemn tone Izuku ever heard. So, it begins to... Is that a Lord of the Rings reference? Izuku doesn't have time to think about that because all of his classmates are shouting with euphoria, volunteering for the position. Somehow, Ida takes control of the situation and suggests an election. It probably won't work since everyone will just vote for themselves and they are all new to one another. Still, they hold an election. And Izuku got 3 votes, which makes them start clapping and cheering. Look at our little Machi. And good for you, Miss 3D Printer. Sensing his confusion, they explained how his class receives a variety of nicknames, most of them crazy enough to make Izuku question their sanity. Please don't call my classmates that. Why not? It's embarrassing. A voice, sweet and kind, just like his mother, start to giggle, and it's coming from the violet blur at his left. He does remember that voice. It's the pretty lady, isn't it? Nana, wasn't it? Oh, honey, we are grown-ups. It's our job to embarrass teenagers. So, buckle up and be glad we don't have your baby photos. He is in the cafeteria now eating lunch with Ida and Uraraka, Autobot/Turbo/Sonic and Toe Beans according to them. Finding out that Ida of all people voted for him is surprising, but Uraraka's bluntness shocks him even more. That is until he finds out that Ida is the younger brother of Ingenium. The inner fanboy in Izuku's soul is trembling with excitement and dying to ask for an autograph. But suddenly an alarm goes off, and everyone starts to panic, running to gods know they are in a very narrow hall. There is screaming, people falling, and then, slam. Izuku looks up and finds Ida on the top of the emergency exit sign. Everything's fine. It's just the press. There's nothing to panic about. We're fine. This is you, behave in a way befitting this great institution. All in favor of changing Loud Kid nickname to emergency sign say yes. 7 voices and 1 answer in JSL agreed, with the white-haired man. Oh my god. After that, Izuku suggested that Ida should be class president instead of him, and his classmates agreed with him. Not them, of course, but well, they'll live. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They are inside a bus heading to where his class is going to have the rescue training, and Izuku is excited, and some of his mentors are already giving him some tips on what to look out for. One of his classmates, a girl with green hair, Karapi/Kermit, starts talking to him. I generally say, what's on my mind, Midoriya.
Oh.
What is it, Ashui? Call me Tsuyu. Your quirk resembles All Might's. Oh, she is definably a Kermit. Izuku. This is the part where you start lying like a politician. Really?
Nah.
I mean, yeah, we need to work on that kid.
Hold up, Tsuyu.
All Might doesn't get hurt, though. They're already different in that way. Izuku can feel his mentor's annoyance irradiating in waves at Kirishima's comment. Still, it's distracted the rest of the bus attention off Izuku's quirk, and he is just grateful for that. Soon enough, they all arrive at unforeseen simulation joint, and 13 is there. Oh, look at their chicken legs. But where is All Might? Nana's question is answered when 13 holds 3 fingers up to Eraserhead, a code meaning that All Might had used all his 3 hours for the day. He tries to not be disappointed, but his other mentors aren't so subtle, and that's strange because it's almost sound like they truly know the #1 hero in a personal level. What the hell? He knew about this class. Why did he waste his time like that? Come on, kid. Are you guys familiar with All Might? Well, about that. How about we talk about this later? After this class? The blue blur N tone is clear enough for Izuku to know they are going to be talking about this today, so he just decides to pay attention to 13 lecture because they are talking about very important things. His class claps when the space hero finish and Eraserhead are about to start the exercise when DANGRSNSE. A shiver runs through his body, but at the same time, it feels like he is being electrocuted. That feeling just keeps getting louder and louder, repeating over and over again. He is so surprised that he doesn't even notice how they are reacting, especially Shinomori-san. And then, DNGRSNSE, DNGRSNSE, DNGRSNSE. At the courtyard bellow, just as his teacher is shouting, DNGRSNSE, 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 DNGRSNSE. DNGRSNSE, 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 DNGRSS. DNGRSNSE, DNGRSSE. Those are villains.
Where is he? We've come all this way.
And brought so many playmates. All Might, the symbol of peace. Where is he? The leader looks at Class 1A, and Izuku's head feels like is breaking in half with all the noise. I wonder if some dead kids will bring him here? Do you know those moments in action movies when the protagonist is frozen in place? It usually happens in a scene where the rest of the world is basically a pandemonium, when you feel so numb to everything else, when people are shouting at you but you can't hear because there are so many things happening at the same time, in such a damn fast pace that you can't even keep up. That's how Shinomori Hikage is feeling right now. Because all of this shouldn't be happening. All of this being the fact the Izuku's class is being attacked by villains with only 2 professionals to protect 20 students from God knows how many criminals. All of this also is the fact that there is a fucking Nomu of all things down there. If there is a Nomu here, then that means
he is involved in this.
He survived that battle 5 years ago. But how? There was so much blood. For crying out loud, Tashinori literally had his guts out because of that bastard punch, but he still managed to land enough hits, right? How, why? But that is nothing compared to the fact that somehow Izuku is using Shinomori's original quirk. He doesn't know how that's possible and what it even means in a foreseeable future, but it opens a lot of possibilities. One for All is a stockpile quirk, and there are 6 other quirks there, danger sense included. If Izuku is able to use Shinomori's quirk, does that mean he will also be able to use the other 5? The man doesn't listen to the panicking children trying to understand how the trespassers managed to get inside the USJ. He doesn't notice when Izuku's homeroom teacher taking charge of the situation and heading off to save them. He doesn't react when a black fog appears in front of the 1A class to stop them from escaping, nor when that thing declares that they are there to kill Nana's kid. Hikage is paying attention to the ringing in his ears, to that flight or fight instinct so rooted deep down in his bones, to his anxiety rising like a rocket. He remembers his mother's voice. 1 in, 1 out. 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 It's not working. It's not working, goddammit. He can hear Saito-sama's voice talking to him, but he can't understand the words. Shimura is holding his hand, but it's not working. His mind is on a loop, his worries and questions repeating over and over again. He finally snaps back to his senses when Izuku is transported to the flood zone, the boy's body splashing into the water, sinking right away, and almost getting killed by someone with a shark quirk, and being saved in the nick of time by his classmate who brings the boy to safety, gently placing him on the yacht bow. He thinks that Daigoro is shouting about how awesome the Kermit kid is. She is about to do the same for her other classmate, but something must have happened because she just throws in. Slam. Did she just throw her classmate like that into this yacht? Was that her tongue? Shimura slaps Morita on the head and demands him to focus, but Izuku seems to be ahead of them in that matter. They knew our schedule. The kid in the diaper starts to shout, saying that there was no way they could ever kill All Might, which only irritates Nana even more. He is still human, you little dash. Mineta, they must have figured out a way to kill him. Otherwise, why come here just to get beaten? I wouldn't put it past them. The one guy promised to kill us too, after all. Who says we can even hold out until All Might get here? Even when he does show up, who says he won't be killed? Daigoro just nods and declares that Kermit Kid is now his favorite. But still, all of them are paying close attention to Izuku, who is muttering up a storm, trying so hard to find the specific reason why that group is after All Might, and why they are willing to go as far as killing the man. The past holders can feel the boy's anger and indignation rising, because all he can remember is how All Might believe in him and gave him a chance to peruse his dream. All he is remembering is the days they spend training together. And just like that, his mind is settled. If there's even a chance that they have a way to beat All Might, then we have a fight to win. That immediately freaks out Dipper Boy, who just start ranting about how Izuku is crazy for even suggesting such a thing. A terrible idea considering that the two world's most protective uncles are right there. I guess we know why he has to wear a diaper now considering how much he is shitting himself. Babe. Don't babe me, Ichi. At least Izuku is trying to come up with a solution. I agree with you, but they are teenagers. They were all in middle school a few months ago. Toshi interrupts the couple and politely asks for everyone to focus on Izuku.
We help now.
Luckily, Izuku decides to ignore his classmates' rant and points out the obvious. All the villains that they are facing right now have some kind of aquatic quirk, making them suitable for combats in places with large amounts of water. Quirks very similar to the one Ashuitsu have. Why would they send her to an area where she can get the upper hand? They are always proud in moments like this. Moments when Izuku is naturally intelligent and strategic. Sure, both them and his father encouraged him to think for himself, but they only presented the boy with tools to do that, notebooks, ways to search for reliable information online, and the idea of using a code for his analysis. But everything else is the fruit of Izuku's labor. What I'm saying is that they must not know about our quirks. It's exactly because they don't know about our quirks that their strategy was to scatter us and overwhelm us with numbers. They've got us beat when it comes to numbers and experience, so there's only one way for us to win. Exploit the fact that they don't know our quirks. Look, they're not trying to get on board. That supports my theory. With that out of the way, their boy asks more about his classmates' quirks. Ashui basically can do everything a frog can do, including secreting a poisonous fluid. Yep, She's my favorite. We know Daigoro. Izuku explains his quirk in the vaguest way possible. It's a strength quirk and a double-edged sword. And then there is the diaper boy. His hair is sticky. And it bounces. That's it. Oh, come on. How the fuck did he get in the heroic class? They don't have time to be frustrated, because some of the villains are starting to lose their patience, and one of them hits the yacht with enough force to crack it in half, which only freaks out the diaper boy even further, making him randomly throwing his hair thingies down below, without even properly aiming them. When the boy realizes his mistake, it's too late. Hell, even Azui is asking why the boy came to U.A in the first place. In the middle of his rant, he declares that he just wished to at least have gotten to grope his classmates' boobs before he died. Nana shouts in frustration, yelling that she was right for not liking him. But yet again, Izuku ignores that. The moment when the enemy thinks they've won represents your best chance. All Might said that in a documentary interview. This is the only way we can win. He quickly tells the others what to do and puts his plan in action. He leaps out of the yacht and yells just like Bakugo would in this situation. He doesn't curse per se, so that a bonus Akrap, Chihuahua boy attitude is rubbing on him, and slaps Daigoro at the same time Izuku flicks his finger, creating a large swirl in the water, practically a controlled cyclone. That gives time for Azui to jump and grab Izuku while the diaper boy starts to bombard the folks in the water. Soon enough, the criminals are all glued together and the three kids manage to escape. They arrive at the plaza, knowing it is far from over. The rest of the class is also fighting, but there is no way to know how well they are dealing with the situation. Eraserhead and 13 are professionals, but they are only humans, just like they once were. He looks over to Saito-san. The man's shoulders are tense, his jaw locked. It's completely understandable, especially given his history with All for One. It's a personal matter. I wonder how he is dealing with this. Seeing that thing again. Toshi signaled to him, asking if he is alright now. He isn't, but decides to say he will be a lot better when this is over. It's somehow true, or at least he wants it to be true. Dealing with trauma is never easy, but he can't let that get in the way now. Izuku needs their help, and if Hikage starts to have another panic attack, he will just be a burden. So he lies and tries to focus on the present. And as soon as they reach the border of the plaza and are greeted with a terrifying sight. It's like looking back to a memory, the ones you try to bury deep in your own mind, the ones you want to forget. Sato's life has been a chaotic mess since he can remember it. Ever since the birth of the luminescent baby in Qingqing City, society was thrown into anarchy. The government was a collective group of incompetence idiots, facing a crisis of unparalleled proportions. Peace was a mere memory of the past, and the police force was either corrupt or trying their best. People with meta abilities became outcasts or abused their newfound power. Everyone was desperate to have some kind of sense of normality back. And then he came, straight from the shadows. A man suddenly started to pass judgment and restore order, and things began to come back to normal. That's what everyone thought at first. Before people started to disappear whenever they opened their mouths. Before their mutilated bodies were found in the swearers. Before the extortions. Before an army of followers willing to do anything to please him. Ichigo saw it happening. That man, that demon's rule rising and taking a throne in the underworld, the government becoming his puppet, and the masses his prey. Soon the awe would turn into fear, as this man cements himself as the symbol of evil. So, he fought back mostly because it was the right thing to do, and because he could do something. Both him and Hashizu started the resistance against that monster, and were willing to do anything to take him down. He tortured and killed those who stood in his way. Anything to defeat All for One. His resolution was like a flame in his heart, burning with all his might. Until he met Yoichi. Until he fell in love with him and began fighting for their future, one they could raise little Miura together as a family. But he lost that flame, his fighting spirit, when his husband died. He gives it up after that, only trusting Morita with Yoichi's legacy and their daughter raising, letting himself get to capture on Propose after knowing she was safe in Korea. He still remembers all of Hisashi's visit to his cell, all of their talking, while he was tortured for information and for the man's amusement. The last thing he remembers is what worried him most. Hisashi had a devious smile on his face, a sight that filled Ichigo with dread. That man never smiled without a reason. I thoughted long and hard about a proper punishment fitted for you. Killing you isn't enough, and torturing you is boring at this point. But I believe I came up with the perfect solution. It took some trial and error, but I found the perfect balance, the correct number that someone like you can take before entering a comatose state. The perfect number to become a puppet. His hand reached his bloodied and swollen face. None of the cuts and brushes have healed yet. What better way to punish you and your merry little band than destroying your legacy? To let you wreck their plans to take me down? Oh, how very fortuitous you are, Saito Ichigo. Red sparks fly between them, a new kind of pain running through him, making him scream after so long. You will have the honor of becoming my first artificial human. What do you think of the name Nomu? Ichigo closes his eyes, trying to let go of the pain. He wonders who that person was before becoming that empty shell. How many meta abilities they had to take before reaching a breaking point. How many did it kill? The sound of breaking bones forces him to focus. That weapon clearly has some kind of meta ability that increases his strength and speed. It's probably a lower tier, considering how it can't speak, but it is sentient enough to understand the orders that are given to it. He looks over to his nephew. Yes, nephew. His marriage with Yoichi had no legal value and wasn't recognized by the government, but it was to them. It was to their daughter. Right now, Izuku is trembling. I wonder if Miura trembled when she saw me again. Tamura Shigaraki. Yoichi blinks, a dumbfounded expression on his face. What did the mist butler just said? Oh, hell no. Hisashi better not have cheated Inko with some random woman to have that kid. Especially a kid with a hand fetish who is scratching himself like that and is complaining like a child. Okay, if you take into consideration that hand fetish over there is older, then is more likely that Inko is the other woman, not the other way around. But either way, it means Hisashi is still a cheater. I can excuse murder, but I draw the line at cheating. You can excuse murder? Guys, for the love of God, we are leaving. The past holders frown. What is the man planning? Coming all this way just to leave on a whim? All this preparation, all this care to just go away the second something goes wrong? Bullshit. But before that, let's leave a few dead kids. That man looks in their direction, suddenly upon them, a hand reaching Azui. The image of Eraserhead's elbow invades their mind, crumbled skin falling on the ground, the muscle tissue revealed to the world to see. To wound the pride of the symbol of peace. All 5 fingers touch the young girl's face. And nothing happens. Holy fuck. That's a hardcore man right there. Nana slaps Daigoro. You really are pretty cool, Eraserhead. Izuku's teacher head is slammed back into the floor, and that makes the boy just attack the villain, panic running in his mind, both of One for All and his original meta ability, rising to the occasion. No. Nomu. Red sparks fly. At the same time, a cloud of dust rise. Izuku's fists collide with that thing, and 2 things happen. His arm doesn't break. And he took something from the Nomu. But it doesn't seem to notice, because it still grabs Izuku's arm and, bam. Fear not. I am here.
And he is pissed.
It is like a sight from heaven. A miracle in its own right. The number 1 hero arrived just at the nick of time, right when all hope seemed lost. But there is a catch. Tashinori is not smiling. That only happened once, in that battle 5 years ago. I had a bad feeling. So, I cut my talk with the principal short and came right away. Then I ran into young Ida, in the way. He told me the gist of what's going on here. Fear not. I am here. En leans closer to Morita and whispers. Did he just walk into here holding his jacket just so he could throw it away? And why did he just rip his tie? Nana heard him talking shit about her kid, so he suffers the consequences, even being her senior. I've been waiting, hero. You're worthless trash. Don't talk shit about my student. We are not about to take criticism coming from a man with a hand fetish. Tashinori jumps into the center of the plaza, taking down as many minions as he can, but focusing on saving Eraserhead and the kids. He also managed to land a punch in the hand fetish guy, so that's a bonus in her book. A thump caught her attention, making her stop. It didn't startle her, but she is drawn to it for some reason and looks back just in time to see that man, that child picking up a hand. A real human hand. Father. For another reason that she can't fathom right now, that sentence alone is powerful enough to fill her with so much dread, freezing her in that place. She started counting. 14. 14 embalmed hands, all positioned so they're holding onto him onto different parts of his body, a nauseating grayish-blue color.
Who were they? Why did this happen to them? What has happened to them?
Throwing punches to save people. That's our state-sponsored violence. You're fast. Too fast to keep up with, but not as fast as expected. Could it really be true? That you're getting weaker? Izuku's panic is so loud in her head, it is a miracle he didn't faint on the spot. He even tried to warn Tashinori about the danger ahead, but her first student just smiled and moved to attack. The Nomu takes a punch, and his torso explodes in a mess of blood and muscles, a firework of gore. What? That's cheating. They don't have time to be disgusted because that thing fleshes, sews itself back together. Oh great, it has some kind of regeneration quirk. No shit, genius. Are we all going to ignore that grown-ass man yelling you're cheating over and over again? No. That Nomu is a special gift from Sensei. It has shock absorption and dash. That Nomu is a super-powered living sandbag designed to withstand everything you've got. You are cheating. Sensei. So that is what All for One is calling himself now, huh? Well, he has a very infuriating student, that's for sure. Oh, so that's what he took. Wonderful. More reckless now. Come on, Toshi, have some faith. He is not that reckless. All of the holders looked at Shinomori with no real conviction in their eyes. Speaking of Izuku, it is sheer dumb luck that he isn't paying close attention to their conversation now. Sure, Tashinori's punches were loud enough to muffle any other sound. Never mind the scenery on display. There is so much blood on his hands now, and that wasn't something she ever wanted to see or associate with her student. It is violent enough to make the students run faster to the stairs, but that didn't stop the diaper boy from complimenting Tashinori's strength. That comments only made her angrier. People seem to forget that her kid is a human being, still susceptible to pain, suffering, and sadness like everybody else. They all saw him as a god among men. All but Izuku apparently. Their little Machi still has faith in Tashinori's abilities, but he also knows about the man's secret and limitations, remembering that he is in pain. Slam. That's one mean back suplex. Did she ever mention her love for wrestling? The joy is short-lived because Mist Butler decided to make a move, and now the Nomu is underneath Tashinori, his hands firmly gripped on her kid's side, tearing into the flesh. The two villains start talking about how the hero is about to die, cutting him into two. That does it. Izuku trusts Tsuyu-chan with Eraserhead safety and leaps. There are still so many things. So many. That I need you to teach me. What were you saying about recklessness again? Shut up. His heart is in the right place. And out of freaking nowhere, Katsuki appears, a loud explosion in his wake, successfully pinning the Mist Butler down, being followed by Metapod and Katy Perry. Saito-sama screamed with joy. I have never been this happy to see your ugly mug, kiddo. Wreck that poor excuse of teleport. The Katy Perry kid wastes no time and freezes part of the Noma body while Metapod tries to punch the hand fetish guy. Not a smart thing to do when someone can pulverize you with a single touch. Thanks to Frosty/Defrost's action, her very proud suggestion for the official nickname for the kid, Tashinori is able to break free. Scum like you could never kill the symbol of peace. Oh, I like him. He is my fourth favorite now. Sorry, Nana, fourth? After Kotaro, Tashinori, and Machi, of course. Katsuki goes on, talking about the clear weakness in the teleportation user. They might not like the kid, but damn, ain't he smart.
Nomu.
Take out the explosive brat. We need our escape route back. Oh fuck. Daigoro. What? That wasn't me. Oh, my bad. Force of habit. Morita. It is fast enough for someone without experience to become amazed. In a matter of seconds, that thing broke free and aimed an attack in Katsuki's direction. Of course, her kid took the punch instead. Not good because he is bleeding and his time has already run out before even getting here. It's a damn miracle that he hasn't exposed his true form by now. Anything to save a comrade, right? Just like earlier when, that one, the plain one, he came at me with everything he had. But violence in the name of saving others is admirable, isn't it, hero? If that guy is about to start a freaking monologue, I swear. You know what, All Might? That pisses me off. Heroes and villains both thrive on violence, but we're still categorized. You're good. You're evil. That's how it is. Symbol of peace? Ha! In the end, you're just a tool for violence, made to keep us down. And violence only breeds more violence. I'll show the world that by killing you. Why does she feel the urge to slap that kid in the head with a slipper and ground him? What a load of crap. He is enjoying this. The kids are hyping up, thinking they can take the two villains and a biological weapon. Sweet, dumb summer child. Go away and leave to the professional. In fact, said professional told them so, in a polite manner of course, and after giving the order, he leaped to attack. He decided to resume the punches, ignoring the dead creature's blood staining him, mixing with his own. Izuku is so worried, his mind drowning in concern, and put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Please calm down. It is all right. He is causing damage faster than that thing can heal itself. It won't take long now. And sure enough, it arrived. One punch, and that thing went flying, making Toshi signal the following words. Still got it. You sure do, kid. Well, villain, how about we hurry up and finish this? Oh, come on. Don't test your luck. What the hell? It doesn't seem to matter because the other man is in a loop. All Might was supposed to be weaker, so either the hero cheated or people lied. And how dare the hero do that to his Nomu? Well, coming to get me. What happened to clearing the game? If you can take me, then bring it on. Toshinori, you better stop this crap now. For crying out loud, even Izuku can tell you are bluffing. As if it couldn't get any worse, Miss Man managed to put some common sense in Tamura's head, saying they still had a chance. I'm the only one who knows. Thinking about it, the mist guy's probably the more dangerous one. And All Might's probably at his limit. If the mist manages to suck him in, oh no, they move to attack. And so did Izuku. Oh, hell no. I'm the only one who knows the trouble he's in. And out of nowhere, a bullet hit Tamura's hand. They can breathe easily now. The cavalry has arrived. I'm sorry, who is shooting at us? There are kids here. Dude, they are hitting the other guy who tried to murder kids. I'm fine with that. The bullets didn't stop them from leaving, but still, they survived. They are inside the void again. The endless and unchangeable scenery inside their minds and souls, sometimes a prison, others a refuge. The silence there is unsettling today, as if it is mocking them. Mocking them for hoping for Izuku's safety, for wishing that the fight with All for One was finally over after 200 years of struggle. First hasn't spoken a single word since Izuku got home, because the truth is told, this is always a tough subject to him. The man accepted long ago that victory could only be achieved if his brother died, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't mourn the loss. Adding Izuku's existence into the mix only made things even more complicated, and for so long, they tried not to think about what the man was really doing outside the Midoriya home. Guess we know it now. The second holder broke the silence. We need to tell him. He has that right to understand what it really means to have this quirk, what it means to have such a target on his back. And how do you suggest we do that? Just drop by, say that Izuku's sperm bank is basically a freaking monster and that his life is ruined. They started shouting, some saying that it is too soon, the others arguing that time isn't on their side anymore. Shinomori saying that the whole truth would crush the boy, but in answers that it is unfair to pretend everything is okay. Shimura pleads for them to consider Izuku's age, saying that he is just a boy. Morita tells her that he won't be that age forever, especially after today. Do any of you remember what we said to him at his 4th birthday? That silenced all of them, who turned to look to Yoichi. What? Right before he went to bed. Do any of you remember that day? What we promised to him? Of course, you can be a hero, little Machi. And we will help you all the way, okay?
They did.
Have any of you changed your mind during the last 10 years? They hadn't.
Good.
Because Izuku has the right to know. Yes, the whole truth will hurt him. Yes, he is young, but I doubt villains care about age when choosing their victims. All of this is true, but none of you are saying the most important thing here. My brother survived. And my nephew not only has all for one, but he also used Hikage's original quirk back there. So, how about we focus on that and what it means? He looks at the fourth holder, the invitation spoken behind the words. It felt natural. As if I haven't been dead for the past decades and had used danger sense, or one for all the day before. Was it always that loud? Only in matters of life and death. Peachy. No wonder you became a hermit. Morita elbows Daigoro for the comment, especially because of the expression on the fourth holder's face. I wonder how Izuku felt. I'm used to danger sense acting up like that, but... Toshi put his hand on the man's shoulder. Confused.
Scared.
Not anymore. You explain after. The Vestige put both of his index fingers on the sides of the older man's mouth and pulled up, just like Nana taught him years ago. That made Hikage laugh. Thank you, Toshi. Welcome. Saito sighed, probably feeling tired.
Fine.
He used Shinomori's meta ability. Does that mean he can use ours? Most likely. He is my brother's son, after all. That man is nothing like Izuku. Or you for that matter. Yoichi giggled. I know, but that is not what I am talking about. Those two couldn't be more different. They both admire quirks, but Izuku respects the unique personality behind that power, while Hisashi is only interested in the usability it has for him. But I meant that their quirk is very similar. They both can take quirks and use them without too many backlashes. We don't know if he will be able to give away these quirks, but... So, just to see if we are on the same page. Izuku has both all for one and one for all.
Check.
He took 2 quirks, one from a bugler years ago and another from a Nomu. Mind you, we have no idea how to use them. Yep. And he used Shinomori's original quirk. And most likely will be able to use all the others' quirks inside one for all. Most likely, yes. Last but not least, we are fucking telling him about the whole shebang about this secret war between us and his freaking father, who, mind you, managed to kill all of us. Except me. Yes, Hikage, thank you for the reminder. Is that all? Yoichi raises his hand. And we don't know how many quirks he can take before reaching his limit. Sure, my brother could do that shit all the time back then, but things were anarchy at the time. Besides, there is no way Izuku will go along with a test period if it means other people are losing their quirks or if they can get hurt.
So there is that.
How are y'all this calm? Oh, trust me, and I am having 11 different mental breakdowns right now. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They managed to reach an agreement right before Izuku went to sleep. They will talk about the origin of both quirks, about the dangers of having one for all, about the Nomus, everything. Except for the minor detail of Hisashi being all for one. Instead, they will tell only part of the truth. Izuku is the descendant of the brothers in their story. Sure, it will shock him, but is a better alternative than dropping an Empire Strikes Back moment on the poor kid's head. It did shock him, so their point stands. This might bite them in the ass later, but it will have to do for now. When Izuku asks how that is possible, all Yoichi has to say is that the man has been alive for 200 years. Does it really sound so impossible for him to have children at one point? They also managed to convince the boy to tell the truth to his teachers, to All Might, Principal Nezu, and Eraserhead. But, Izuku, we know why you have a hard time trusting adults, and we understand that. And while we will do everything we can to help you, there is so little we can really achieve. Your homeroom teacher fought tooth and nail back there. He is more than capable to help you with actual battle training. We can and will give you all the advice and help we can, but at the end of the day, it can't be much. Do you trust us?
He did.
The conference room is heavy with worry, a pregnant silence hanging in the air. Naomesa is in the middle, giving his briefing speech to all of them. The police managed to collect a great number of pieces of information on their targets, their unregistered quirks, their faked names, and how neither of them is registered, and are then for using aliases, how they are members of the underworld. His friend called that Shigaraki boy the leader, and that just didn't sit right with him. That boy was a lot of things, but leader, huh? What is it, All Might? It's just that nothing about this feels normal. It was an especially daring attack. And not just in the meticulous planning. He started going on about some ridiculous ideology. And although he didn't say anything about his own quirk, he was shooting his mouth off, bragging about that guy Nomu's quirk, and when things didn't go his way, he started throwing a tantrum. Well, I guess the business about the quirks was meant to provoke me. Nezu seems to understand what he is talking about. Of course, he does. The other man is always quick to pick up little clues scattered in the narrative with incredible ease. Even so, it seems especially foolish in a battle against heroes to reveal one's quirks and waste the element of surprise. Toshinori nods, spouting a plausible yet diluted ideology, bragging about the toy he brought along, and simple-mindedly thinking everything would go his way. If how the attack was carried out, it seems clear that this Shigaraki character couldn't quite hide his childish nature. That sense that he does whatever he wants. A kid with too much power, you're saying? There is a part of him, a very tired and sarcastic part of him, that wanted to point out that they are all teaching children with too much power. It is the same part that sounds suspiciously like his teacher's murder on his worst days. The only difference is that the one that they are having a meeting about happened to had bad options in the past. Maybe he never received general quirk counseling in elementary school. So, what does that matter anyway? Why does Vlad keep screaming so early in the morning? Is it normal for young people to be so energetic in the morning? Naomesa decided to carry on, ignoring the outburst of the blood hero, saying that the police apprehended a total of 72 villains at USJ. They were all just back alley thugs, but the question is why so many of them would agree to follow said man-child. Nowadays, our society is saturated with heroes. So maybe small-time villains like them, who always get kicked around, are drawn in by that sort of pure, unaffected evil. In one way, he's a lot like our students. He has the potential to grow if only he had a proper mentor to follow. It's difficult to think about these things. Quite difficult indeed. If he stills his stomach, it would be in knots right now. He didn't like this. That attack was too articulate, too careful, and it really bothers him that someone knew about his weakness. The mere idea of facing such reality scares him terribly, in a way that forces him to remember his teacher's words to him all those years ago. A true hero saves not only their lives but also their hearts. That's what I believe. So, no matter how scary things get, give them a smile, as if to say, I'm A-okay. The people in this world who can smile are always the strongest. So, he had to smile. If not for himself, for everyone else relying on him. And wasn't that such a heavy height lately? He would smile for young Midoriya, for his successor. Speaking of young Midoriya, wasn't time for lunch? Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He decided to ignore young Uraraka's comment, especially because it sounded like something that Nana would agree with her. Still, he had his pride, right? They arrive at his office in a matter of minutes, and soon enough there were 2 steaming cups of tea on the table. Just 50 minutes.
Yes.
My time limit's getting shorter by the day. I can barely maintain my muscle form for an hour. The boy is shrinking within himself, about to apologize, but Toshinori stops that nonsense before it became an avalanche of self-pity and depreciation. Yagi Heath has been on the decline for the past 5 years, long before even meeting young Midoriya. How could any of this possibly be his fault? Wanting to distract the boy from that, he changes the subject and mentions the sports festival. You still can't regulate one for all, right? So what do we do? But there was one time. When I attacked that brain villain, there was no kickback. Progress at last. You did mention that. So what was different? I used it against someone else for the first time. Sounds like you managed to pump the brakes without even knowing it. Glad to hear it. Because in all honesty, the time I've got left as the symbol of peace is quickly running out, and people are starting to realize that. I granted you my power so that you could succeed me. This sports festival. It's an event the whole country will be watching. And that means just one thing for us. For you, the next All Might, the fledgling symbol. I need you to tell the world. I am here. The young boy's eyes are shining with tears, and for a second Toshinori is worried about a sudden flood. Gulping, the man shouts before he can stop himself. So, it's your chance to gain mass appeal for yourself. Young Midoriya sniffs. Huh. Huh, he says. And then he starts to mutter at a speed that the man still hasn't been able to understand yet. He could make up a few words and another's, but that was it. It sounded like he was speaking about being his successor in the first place, but all meaning was lost to the man after that. There's no one more dedicated to the world of nonsense than you, kid. World of nonsense. Oh, did he offend him? Quick, how can he make this better? The slight difference between those who always aim for the top and those who don't will come to matter in a big way once you all emerge into society. I can understand how you're feeling. I won't force you. But just don't forget that drive you felt when cleaning up the beach. Ah, yes. That's probably enough, right? A sports festival. They're choosing to host a sports festival 3 days after being attacked. Also, when did humanity had a stroke and collectively decided that watching a bunch of pubescent teens fist fighting each other every single year is somehow far more interesting than the goddamn Olympics? Since when did becoming a hero meant that you had to act like a dancing monkey, trying your hardest to appease a never-understanding audience? Since when a dangerous, life-threatening career became known as a giant competition, some fancy show? And sure, the school was acting like that was their way of giving the middle finger to the so-called League of Villains, but really it was all about parading their goods around like some. He is violently pounded in the ribs by Saito, who is glaring at him. Stop. That. Oh fuck, he switches back to Cantonese. Crayup, he switches back to Cantonese. Even Yoichi is staring in astonishment because Ichigo only did that like 5 times when they were alive. Fuck, even after they reunited back in the void. What? Suzuki-kun already has enough on his plate. He doesn't need your glooming. He just found out he is related to an S-rank villain, and at least 2 new aspects about his meta ability, including that this power is somehow related to his idol. Now, he has to perform to the whole nation, and has to be a good performance if he hopes to be noticed by a pro hero to get a half-decent internship that can decide his future. So, suck it up and act your age. I am not glooming. That was your take from all that? His friend just raised his eyebrow, and he swears that and just snicker, that sucker. Shut up. No you. Banjo, shut the fuck up. 没用的人. 同情. Shimura acted like every inch of the mother she was in life and slapped each one of them. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Things have calmed down by lunchtime. Sure, the kids are excited, but at the level that you expect from Dash. Deku. Ida. They shudder at the tone of voice and slowly turn to look back to toe beans. And are met with a stern face of determination. At this sports festival, let's do our best. What happened to your face, Uraraka? That's the same look Yoichi used to have in his face whenever they were about to blow up the illegal warehouses of his brother or steal contraband from the Yakuza. Because being reckless is an inherited trail by Izuku's father's side. Hisashi started a criminal empire with an actual cult of all things. Yoichi did the rational thing and fought back against his brother. But he sure did earn a reputation of blowing up stuff and biting people strong enough to send them to the hospital. They're just waiting for the other shoe to drop in Izuku's case. So yeah, Toe Beans is fiercely determined, with fire in her eyes, just like their beloved feral white-haired gremlin. The older one. Everyone. I'm gonna crush this. And why are you clapping? I don't know. I just want to hype her up. Just own up to the fact that you have a favorite student beside Izuku. Izuku is getting better at ignoring their banter and paying attention to his friends instead. So, the boy asks why Toe Beans wanted to become a hero in the first place. She blushes. You want to be a hero for the money? I mean, it is a job. Ultimately, yeah. Sorry. I know it seems base. And really embarrassing, considering Ida's noble motivations and all. There's really nothing wrong with seeking a more comfortable lifestyle. What he said. Everyone has to pay taxes, kid. He rolls his eyes. choosing to pay attention to Izuku's classmate instead. Uraraka-san, still blushing up a storm, explains what made her look for such a dangerous job. Her parents work at the construction business, and things are slow for them. Since she was a child, she wanted to help, but both her father and mother insisted that the young girl should worry about her school instead. So, I'm gonna be a hero. I'll make with that money, so that my mom and dad can have easier lives. She is willing to do one of the deadliest jobs out there just to ensure a better life for her parents. This is what being a hero is all about. Not the fame, not the popularity polls or paid advertising. Risking your life for something greater than yourself. That it is all about. His chest feels tight all of a sudden, because suddenly Izuku's classmate sounds so much like her. Like little Hanaka Miura. Their little flame. I want to work hard on school so Papa and Dad don't have to worry. I want to have a great future with every one of the base uncle. Looks like Uraraka-san isn't Justin's favorite after today. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Daigoro lets out a small whistle at the sight of all the children standing outside the 1A class door room. When the diaper boy freaked out, Katsuki pointed out the obvious. The other students were evaluating the kids who survived a villain attack. Makes sense they'd want to look before the sports festival. It's true. We came to get a look, but you sure are modest. Are all the kids in the hero course like this one? I gotta say, I'm a little disillusioned if this is what you're offering. Those of us who didn't make the hero course are stuck in general studies and the other tracks. There are quite a few of us. Did you know that? Depending on the results of this sports festival, they might consider transferring us to the hero course. I understand the reverse is also possible for you. Scoping out the competition? For a general studies kid like me, that'll be the perfect chance to knock you off your pedestals. Consider this a declaration of war. This little sure dash. Who else wants to deck eye bags there? What is there to brag about almost dying? Is not as if any of us ask for it. They looked down to Izuku. His anger and indignation are coming over them like waves, an acid, and a blazing sensation. All the words he really wanted to say burning in his throat when in reality all he really wanted was to shout everything he has been holding down since that day. Instead, the ninth holder just squeezes the shoulder straps of his backpack even tighter. Nana sigh. Sorry about that, kid. Tell you what, everyone is going to start training for this thing. How about we give you some tips? For the first time in days, Izuku's eyes shine again. Can you guys teach me other languages too? Sure, why not? Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. They are inside the kids' room once again. He has a new notebook open, one that he bought especially for this occasion. He is fiddling, clearly nervous, but to be fair, so are them. They always said they would help Izuku when the time arrived, but now it had, and they didn't know what to do. All I can think is how to make a Molotov cocktail with a half-decent oil car and a broken bottle. And I am not about to teach the kid guerrilla tactics. Yoichi claps his hands and draws everyone's attention. Alrighty. First and foremost, we need to know your limits. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time, so let's just try to figure out what you can do. Now. We already explained one for all, but I think Hikage should talk more about danger sense. That's one of the quirks that you awaken on USJ. Shinomori steps forward. Firstly, I would like to apologize for the migraine. My quirk actives as a strong headache as a warning whenever there is any real danger near you. It has to represent a real threat to your life or safety, otherwise it won't go off. Danger sense does not activate if there isn't a real danger or malice. Izuku promptly writes that down. So, if I am training with someone, will it go off? With a decent sparring partner? No. He means dash. He means someone other than Kaken, I know. A few minutes go by with all of them answering the questions about danger sense and trying to figure it out about the other ones he also has. Then they just spend the rest of the day with a few little tips here and there. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Newton's third law of motion is your best friend and worst enemy. What? Physics Izuku. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This means that every time you punch someone, the kinetic energy of your attack will come back to you in an opposite reaction. Did you ever punch someone? No, don't answer that. We know you didn't. Oh. Also, when making a fist, Make sure to leave your thumb outside the other fingers. Otherwise, it will break on impact. Trust me on this 1 inch. Okay. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Izuku, pay attention to your adversary. If you analyze his movements and figure out his fighting style, you have a better chance of guessing what they will do next. Then, and only then, you can fight back. What he is trying to say is that your chances of winning increase if you collect information about them and use it later. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. A hero favors haste over cleverness, meaning that are not cheap shots. Strike quickly, and you'll end quickly too. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. If your opponent is of unstable temper, seek to irritate and never fall for enemies' taunts. She means dash. She is also talking about Kaken, I know. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Every battle is a deception. Make your enemy think you have a weakness, and that will become your strength. Remember that. But, Izuku, remember what 8 said? The whole country will be watching, including villains. It is a terrible idea to broadcast on live TV everything you can do in a fight. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Be careful when fighting. Never let your enemies know all your tricks. It's important to catch them with the guard down. And no, that is not cheating. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. Don't fucking yell when you're about to attack someone. Sneak attacks only work when it happens in silence. Banjo. They are in a prep room, the second holder's still giving Izuku a few tips before the big event. Little Machi is nervous, mentally repeating all the advice he received in the past week, categorizing them on levels of importance, probability, and necessity in Midoriya. They turn to meet Napolitan ice cream kid staring at Izuku. Objectively speaking, I'm stronger than you, more capable. Nana gave said kid the meanest look Banjo had ever seen before declaring that the boy was no longer her 4th favorite. Huh. Sure. Izuku. All Might's got his eye on you, doesn't he? Now I'm not about to pry into why that is, but I will beat you. You are already prying, kid. Ooh. A declaration of war from the strongest in the class. That is subjective. Hey man, why pick a fight now? We're about to go on. He is so precious. Look at him.
Look at
him. Golden retriever child. What Toshi said. I really don't care. I'm not pretending to be anyone's friend here. He doesn't remember teenagers being this moody back in his day, but maybe Napolitan kid a special case. Still, Izuku didn't mind their commentary and chose to answer in the same fashion. Todoroki. I'm not sure why you felt the need to tell me you'll beat me. You're clearly stronger, and I can't measure up to most of the others here in skill, objectively speaking even. But everyone, even the kids from the other courses, are aiming for the top. And well, let me say this. I'm not gonna fall behind. I'm going for it too. With everything I've got. There you go, kid. That was a very boss-ass moment. Good for you. Boss-ass? Do you mean badass? That is not even remotely correct. Izuku's year walks into a mixed version of a gymnasium and arena, all while the blonde cockatoo is living up to his DJ/radio host career. There is a crowd for sure, and Izuku is already getting nervous. But they have prepared for this. All they need is take his mind off the why there's a woman wearing BDSM gear up there. And both Nana and the boys' uncles are shrieking like they suddenly became Yurei and cover Toshi and Izuku's ears, even knowing it's too late. They are children. Hell, you are a child. I was 24 when I died. Shut up. You were how old when what happened? Oh, you fuck up. Great, look what you did. Hikage manages to regain everyone's attention to said R-rated hero because, as the man pointed out, she is the referee and is explaining the first event, an obstacle course race between every member of all 11 classes. The course is a 4 kilometers lap around the stadium itself, and as long as you don't go off the course, anything is fair game. He rolls his eyes. There is no way all those kids are going to end the first event. Each class has 20 students, and all 11 classes of the first year are competing. That makes it a total of 220 teenagers running in a corridor with obstacles. And this is coming from a school that doesn't know when to stop with the giant robots and fake cities. Give or take, less than 50 kids were going to finish that race. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He was right. The gate was the first filter, and most of the Class 1A fly through with ease. And, yes, there are robots involved. Is there sponsorship going on, or what? Neapolitan ice cream boy freezes one of them quickly and consequently makes it fall on top of some of his classmates. Was that golden retriever boy? OHFUC. Oh wait, they are fine. Izuku dashes forward and picks up some metal plate. It is a little heavy for him, but he manages to use it against another. Oh, damn, it slashed through. They started clapping before seeing the second obstacle course. How do they pay for this stuff? They hear someone crackling like a maniac and find a girl with salmon dreadlocks wearing some kind of exoskeleton armor. He swears he saw Hashizu made the sign of the cross and mutters something about reincarnation. Just like Pinako? Just like Pinako. The third barrier is a minefield. A minefield. What are they thinking? Little Machi doesn't waste time and start digging some of them out. They're the type that blows when stepped on. They're only strong enough to toss us around a bit. But if you're thrown off course, you could cause a chain reaction and lose a lot of time. Better to slow down and avoid them if it means not taking damage. Not like the leaping types can afford to get careless either. There are more mines to dodge up front, and trying to slow down others is a guaranteed time loss. Just focus. Which spots are the people back here avoiding? It's at the entrance that they'll be most on guard. There are plenty of mines left.
Great.
Just stay frosty. Anti-personnel mines should only be 14 to 15 centimeters down. I can dig him up with this. He leaps and lands on top of the pile. And flies. Boom. Wow, look at him go. Wait, hold on. His head. Izuku, remember the stuff about head concussion. Remember, protect your neck. Deku, get the hell back here. Yoichi almost gave Katsuki the middle finger. Almost. Saito managed to stop him in the nick of time. Izuku started to lose some height as gravity runs its course. So, he flips the metal plate once more, hits the floor again, and is propelled forward. Why is Morita whispering about dropping shoes? And Midoriya blows off the competition with no time to lose. Your class is something else, Eraserhead. What are you teaching those kids? This isn't my doing. They've been spurring each other on all on their own. Well, who could have predicted such an incredible turn of events so early on? The one who made it back to the stadium first is none other than Izuku Midoriya. Soon enough, his classmates arrive and congratulate him, but Izuku decides that he just got lucky. Bullshit. The referee excitedly exclaims to the students about the second event, the Cavalry battle. The rules are fundamentally the same as those of an ordinary cavalry battle. Snag your opponent's headbands while guarding your own, but with one exception. Each of you has been assigned a point value based on your ranking in the last event. Your individual point values start at 5, at the bottom. So, the student who took 42nd place is worth 5 points, 41st is worth 10. Get it? But our first place participant is worth 10 million points. 41 pairs of eyes turn and stare at Izuku. DANGRSNSE. 10 million. Crap. Banjo. People are avoiding Izuku like the plague. Granted, if he was in the other student's shoes, he would be doing the same, but still. As if it was not enough, most of those kids would probably choose their own classmates. After all, they already knew about their quirks, and that would be fundamental to win this round. Especially if you have a prize on your head. Team up with them, whoa. And there comes the geysers. As if in the queue, Izuku started crying. Sure, they were used 14 years seeing the kid crying. You will be prepared for anything. But Toshi never had seen it happen before. The poor Vestige got quite the scare when Izuku suddenly started partially flooding the arena. Oh, don't worry, kiddo. That's normal. Normal. Yeah, his mother does it too. Don't worry. But I never understood how they never got dehydrated afterward. Uraraka. Also, toe beans, thank you. That is why you're my favorite. Aha. You finally admitted. Screw you, I never denied. Why you mean it? Everyone's probably gonna come after me for my 10 million dash. Yeah, but you'll win if you can just run away. Teaming up with a friend just seems right. Shinomori raises his eyebrow. Teaming up with people you have a good work relationship with is a good strategy, but doing it solely because of the name of friendship is foolish. Izuka seemed to ignore Hikage's comment and tried to ask Tenya to join their team, but to their surprise, the boy refused. Bakugo and Todoroki aren't the only ones who see you as a rival. So I, too, challenge you.
Huh.
Would you look at that? Is normal for kids these days to randomly challenge their classmates, or is our little Machi just special? Both Yoichi and Nana reached to slap Banjo at the same time. Haha, yes, you're in the first place. You sure do stand out. Morita jumped into the air like a cat that just saw a cucumber and screamed something incomprehensible in Korean. And in Latin.
Since when does that guy speak Latin?
Vade retro apparition. Does Morita need to talk? Please don't mind him. Panako was very intense. But, looking her up close, she reminds me more of Hangzhou. Both the first and third one for all holders freeze for a few seconds and look at the pink-haired girl. Hashizu left eye started twitching. Thank you a lot. Oh, great prestigious leader. I won't sleep tonight. But we don't dash. Let me do my shit, Daigoro. Thank God that woman didn't decide to join my brother. We would be done for it. What kind of maniacs did you guys used to walk around back then? Oh no, she was the tame one. Team up with me, Mr. First Place. Joining with you means I'll inevitably be right in the spotlight. And then, inevitably, my super cute babies will be seen by the industry big shots. They'll have to take notice of me and my babies. Well, that is one way to do things. Then she drops quite a lot of support items in front of Izuku, and they start to bond over tech stuff. And doesn't understand a lick of it, but it is nice to see Izuka getting along with someone, even if it was something so intense. The ninth one for all holder looks around and sets his eyes in Tokoyami, and it doesn't take much to convince the other boy to join Izuka's team, and then it begins. Let's do this. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. 3. Izuka's teammates ready themselves, steadying their nerves before the storm. 2. Midoriya rolled his shoulders and took deep breaths. 1. Sit Ludo's insipere. Okay, that's it. Since when do you speak Latin? Hey, I read the classics. Start. This is really a fight for the 10 million and everyone knows it. You don't say, aluminum foil child. They all charge at them and Izuka chooses the logical choice. Run away. But the floor below their feet started to sink like mud after the rain, but as if some part of a shounen manga plot, they have both the pink-haired girl invention and Uraraka's quirk to help them. The 4 of them, plus 8 ghosts, went flying and very few of them can reach the 10 million team, those who can smack away by Dark Shadow, their fellow sentient quirk. We're landing. They do without much trouble, but out of nowhere. Shoji runs to Izuku, but before the 10 million teams could run for it, one of the hair thingies of the diaper boy stops them. Well, it is a step backward, but it's not like. And then Ajui's tongue shoots forward, making Banjo howl like a wounded animal. Kermit Kid no. Eventubro? Again, not even remotely correct. Shakespeare was brilliant in many things. Historical accuracy is not one of them. Okay, but how? The first holder is a self-proclaimed comic book connoisseur. His husband used to read Immanuel Kant and Voltaire in his free time, and now they all find out that third apparently had read the classics. And Shakespeare. The best and ever did was reading trashy romance novels you could buy at a newsstand, but most of the time, he just watched K-dramas while eating ramen. They don't have time to discuss their new discovery, because a certain loud someone is coming on the left like a literal rocket. Boom. Damn it. Chihuahua boy, why? Said Chihuahua boy tries to attack Izuku, but Dark Shadow defends them, what seems to profoundly irritate Katsuki, but something shocking happens. A blonde weasel-looking kid talking nonsense that just copied both Sparky Boom Boy and Golden Retrieved Boy quirks. In a row. Hey Yoichi, is it possible that you brother? If he did what we are all thinking, I will find a way to physically manifest myself behind him without alerting any of his quirks and beat that sucker with a rusted metal pipe wrapped with a metal wire and nails. We can take turns. Oh, you can bet you're sorry, as we are taking turns. Payback time, bitch. It is a small blessing for them to notice that the blonde kid didn't steal Izuku's classmates' quirks, he just copied them. And he also royally pissed off Bakugo in the process by mentioning the Sludge incident and even asking the boy how it felt to get attacked by villains on an annual basis. Oh, he's fucked. Rest in pieces, blonde weasel kid. Nana tried to laugh her nervousness away. Her student is not violent. To hear him say/sign that is concerning. Toshi, I think you mean rest in peace. No teacher, I didn't. Nana is really laughing very nervously now because she didn't teach him that. So, as usual, they blame it on Torino, or at David's shield. They still remember the day Sweet, young Yagi went to Costco for the first time and saw the gun aisle. He nearly choked on his jumbo-sized milkshake. But now is not the time to pay attention to another presumably lost nephew of the Shigaraki family, or his immediate death by the hands of Bakugo Katsuki. Whatever happens in that fight is not their problem now. Besides, it's not like the referee would allow Katsuki to actually kill the other kid. No, they are here to help Izuku, who is facing Todoroki. Looks like this won't end without a fight. They're really gunning for you, Midoriya. We're halfway through, so we've got to keep moving. But there are multiple teams incoming. DANG or SNSE. Wait. There is a literal shockwave going through the field, strong enough to incapacitate a great number of other
teams.
Damn, I felt that. How did I feel that? And how is that boy still standing? Less than 6 minutes left. Todoroki doesn't waste time and freezes part of the arena, trapping the rest of the integrates. Look, if it's not broken, don't fix it, but is that really the only move that the other kid has? Sure, maybe he just holding back, saving energy for the next round, but it doesn't sit right with N that all he does is the same thing over and over again. Something is not right here. Tokoyami-kun tries to steal some of the points from the other team, but Yaoyorozu-san stops the boy with something he can't quite identify. And Saito-san is whispering something about the law of equivalent exchange. Nevertheless, Tokoyami warns his team that his real problem is Kaminari, explaining the disadvantages of dark shadow against bright light. So, you have less offensive power now, but they don't know that, right? As long as they don't know. And can practically feel the wheels turning in Izuku's head as soon he looks at Todoroki's left side for a few seconds, a plan already forming in his mind. It's scarcely simple, but is the best he can come up now. We can take them out. We'll be fine. And the 10 million points will stay with us. But before they can do anything, Ida bursts to them and Todoroki rips the headband from Izuku, which only fuels the boy's resolve to take said headband back, his determination burning inside his chest, alongside his frustration. One for all hums bellow Izuku's skin, shining through, almost as if the quirk itself is reassuring the boy that it is there for him. All their hopes. Right now, I'm carrying them all. Something in Izuku's expression seems to scare Todoroki, because he shudders for a moment and literally shields himself. Midoriya goes straight to the other boy's left side in hopes of breaking his defense. And for a second fire ignites from the other boy's left side, which genuinely seems to surprise him. That gives the former 10 million team enough time for Izuku to just grab something and yank it away from Todoroki's neck. 17 seconds remain. But, wait a second. That headband. It's the wrong one. Merely 70 points, not nearly enough to get classified. The 10 seconds count back stars. Each phrase was spoken by Present Mike feels like a purposeful poking at Izuku's self-esteem. Time's up. That's the second time that guy says that, and yet again, it is the second time I want to break his nose. Let's see who the top 4 teams are right now. In the first place, Team Todoroki. In second, Team Bakugo. In third, Team Tetsu.
Huh.
Whoa. Team Shinso. Wait. Eyebags kid? When did that happen? Izuku already has tears in his eyes and is apologizing for letting his team down, but stops talking when Tobeans calls his attention to Tokoyami-kun. Todoroki was clearly shaken by your first attack. I did my best to nab the 10 million, but I came up short. But I got another one. I managed to get the one on his head when he dropped his guard. Midoriya. That last-ditch effort of yours left Todoroki open. In Dark Shadow's mouth, there was a headband worth 615 points. Sentient quirk of the world. Unite. Are we quoting Karl Marx now? Can we even do that? In fourth, Team Midoriya. These 4 teams will proceed to the final event. Izuku is crying so hard that his knees crack the floor, once again freaking Toshi out. Young Todoroki calls young Midoriya over to talk as soon as the second event ends. It is a little unnerving because the other boy has a very grim expression on his face, as if he is about to pour all his life troubles in the middle of a school corridor to Izuku. You overwhelmed me. So much so that I broke my own pledge. Ida, Kaminari, Yaoyorozu, Tokoyami, Uraraka, none of them felt it. In that last instant, I was the only one feeling that pressure. I felt the same pressure coming from you. So, are you All Might's secret love child or something? Silence. If you dropped a pin on the floor, you would be able to hear it. All of the past holders are just staring at young Midoriya's classmate. Now, if Toshi could blush, he would. Midoriya-sama is a wonderful woman, who clearly doesn't deserve to be married to a villain, but she certainly doesn't deserve to be in the middle of a scandal like that. Which woman would like to be in this mess? Saito-sama takes a deep breath before screaming at the top of his lungs. God, I wish. No, Dad might. Huh, would you look at that, it even rhymes. Banjo, Morita, and started singing lyrics about putting rings on fingers and something about a kid repeating the phrase, "You are my dad, you're my dad," over and over again. Is it bad that I can see it happening? It works on so many levels. Married, they all choose to ignore his argument probably because in his eyes, if there is anyone that deserves to be cheated in that relationship, it is All for One, especially if he does have other children running around. The only one trying to help him is his teacher, clearly doing her best to make her brothers in arms to see how nonsensical the situation was. Still, Saito-sama just turned to young Midoriya, grabbed his shoulders, and spoke in a serious tone of voice. Izuku.
Dear.
Your mother needs to divorce your father and marry All Might now because my brother, you know, the big bad guy we are trying to defeat? Yeah, him. He will drop dead the very next second with the idea of someone of his bloodline being related to a hero. Sure, it will be by proxy, and in the eyes of the law, blah blah blah.
But
he will feel in the deeps of his soul that something had changed in the universe, trust me. And not any hero, but the #1 hero. Besides, we know about the fanfics you used to write in middle school, so… What are we, chop liver?
Hush.
And besides, Nana will be your grandmother, so it's a win-win. His master stops speaking mid-speech to look at him, just to grab him by his shoulders with a manic gleam in her eyes.
Oh.
Oh no. Let's do this, Toshinori. She is a wonderful woman, and I know you guys haven't met, but trust me on this. I just know she gives the best hugs ever, and you have been needing one for the past 9 years or so. It doesn't have to be an actual marriage. Imagine as a friendship where you guys are raising a kid together and pay fewer taxes or something. He didn't manage to handle David's flirting when they were younger. Any kind of relationship the Real Toshinori tried to have with the outside world didn't work for a great number of reasons. And when he tried, well, Mirai's betray hurt for more than just professional reasons. He always wanted to be in a relationship, always been a hopeless romantic, but there weren't a lot of people willing to let go of the certain thing. Mirai was willing to let that go, but he still didn't respect his boundaries on other matters. None of his past relationships, platonic, friendships, or romantic, none of them worked. How being married to the ex-wife of his arch-nemesis could possibly be a good idea? Even if it meant properly raising young Midoriya? His counterpart can fake all he wants, but young Midoriya stopped being just a student long ago, especially after looking up how to tell dad jokes on the internet. And while Yagi saw the 9th holder as a son, Toshi couldn't help to consider the white-haired boy as a little brother.
But there's no way he can say all of that now.
He is not ready yet. So, he just takes the coward's way out. Guys, he can hear us. No, he can. Look at his face. I guarantee that his mind is like the blue screen of death right now. As to prove his point, Saito snaps his fingers 3 times in front of young Midoriya's face, who doesn't react. Toshinori doesn't know what the blue screen of death meant, but maybe he should go to Recovery Girl to check that. What if he got hurt in the last fight? Luckily, young Izuku just blinks and asks why his classmate thinks that. Young Todoroki doesn't truly seem to believe in anything young Izuku is trying to say to prove him wrong. He is simply too convinced on his own theory to believe in anything else, but nevertheless, he continues. Why is he telling some random classmate this? Sure, he thinks said classmate is somehow related to the #1 hero, but what does that have to do with him? Looking around, the Vestige can tell that the other heroes feel the same way. You know, my father is Endeavor, the second greatest hero of all time. So, if you're somehow connected to the #1 guy, then all the more reason for me to crush you.
My dad.
He's a powerful bastard who only thinks of becoming stronger. Yeah, he's gone all out to make a name for himself as a hero, but he's always seen that living legend, All Might, as a roadblock and an eyesore. My father could never beat All Might on his own, so he came up with another plan.
Why?
Why does it feel like something bad is about to happen? Quirk marriages.
You've heard of them, yeah? No.
It felt like 100 things at the same time. A punch in the stomach, a screeching record, and a breaking mirror. All around him, the other holders stopped joking around and smiling, as if they are still processing what they heard. Hell, even he can't understand. This is Todoroki's child. Because Todoroki-san might be eccentric at times, sure, but why would he go to such lengths to achieve his plans? Why does it make sense? Enji never talked about his family at any hero's event or even show up with them. He was never friendly or remotely polite to anyone. He always fought as if he had something to prove. Hell, Mirai felt sorry for the people working on the man's social manager and their team. Literally. But to do this? What was Yagi supposed to do? Not have saved as many people? Be slower? What? Just to appease the man's ego. He had a duty. He had a mission that only he could fulfill, and even then, he had failed. He was supposed to kill all for one in that fight, but he was too weak, too pathetic, and now, raising me as a hero who could exceed All Might, just to fulfill his own ambitions. I hated being no more than a tool for that human garbage. As I remember it, Mom was always crying. I can't stand to see that left side of yours, she said, before throwing scalding water in my face. In short, not using my left side against you was my revenge on him. Never using my rotten father's quirk. No. By rising to the top without using it. I'll have denied him everything. He wants to hurt Enji just as much he wanted to hurt Nana's murder. It's not heroic though, but heroes also aren't supposed to be having eugenics experiments with their own families. I've always had help. No matter the situation, I've only come this far because other people helped me. All Might, I want to be like him. For that, I have to become the strongest. Might seem like a lame motivation compared to yours, but I'm not gonna lose. All the people who've helped me, that's how I'll repay them. Let me return your declaration of war with my own. I'm gonna beat you. After that, it's hard to pay attention to anything. All the past interactions he had with the #2 hero keep replaying in his memory, searching for any kind of red flags or clues that he might have missed. For God's sake, didn't his son die at one point 10 years ago? Did he have anything to do with that? How did everyone just miss so many warning signs? Never mind the past. What about the present?
What can be done about it?
Toshi. He looks up to find the worried expression of Shinomori-san. Did you hear anything that Midnight-san just said? The Vestige felt ashamed but was forced to admit that he didn't hear anything. So, Shinomori explained, the third part of the sports festival would be a formal tournament between the 16 members of the 4 winning teams as a series of one-on-one battles, and the matchups will be decided by drawing lots. But some of the students decided to drop out, one of them being Ojiro. Because of that, there has been a readjustment. The other man is still looking at him, completely ignoring young Midoriya and the other holders, who are both ahead, getting ready for the first fight. You are blaming yourself. Tashinori stops walking. What? You're crying. He touches his face and finds the proof of what Shinomori-san had said. When had he started? God, he is so ashamed. This isn't about him. There isn't time for self-pity. They all need to focus on fighting ahead. Hell, The purple-haired boy just tried to talk to Izuku, but Ojiro stopped the other from answering. That seems far more important than a self-pity party. Toshinori. It goes without saying, but none of that was your fault. How can you be responsible for someone else's actions? You were busy fighting on a secular war against a symbol of evil, so you had to become a symbol of peace. Isn't it as simple as that, kid? It's not your fault if you are more charismatic than a man with a flaming mustache and a permanently scowling face. Public opinion counts, you know. He knows that, but… young Midoriya, there you are. Just the one who I wanted to talk to. He looks and sees his counterpart smiling in the corridor and waved to the boy to come over.
So,
it took a while, but you're finally getting the hang of using one for all. I'm still
uneasy about it.
Like with that microwave visualization thing. I'm just trying to recall when I launched it at that villain, but it still feels dangerous. As if I could fall apart if I lose focus for a second, and, well, it's like you saw, given the level my body's at, even when I control it, it only gives a small increase in power.
Right.
Remember how I was talking about giving it between 0 and 100? As you are now, your body's capable of about 5%. Only 5%. And he already is hurting himself so badly. Not only that, but he has ultimate shield, shock absorption, and danger sense to worry about as well. That has to put some weight on the boy's well-being and performance in the long run.
It wasn't hard for me.
I mastered one for all with such ease. Why can't it be like that for Izuku as well? Yet again, the boy in question says the same nonsense once more. He just got lucky, and that is why he got this far. Honestly, why? That's because you're always trying your hardest, my dear Prince of Nonsense. Well said, 8. Except the whole Prince of Nonsense thing. You'll never be a hero looking so mopey. Now listen, especially when you're feeling worried or scared, that's when you got to smile. You've come this far, so show some bravado, even if it's fake. Never forget that I'm expecting big things from you. I spoke too soon. Sorry guys, that one is on me. No, master. Honestly, what is wrong with his counterpart? You don't tell someone to fake a smile. That was not what Nana taught. And the great job at not throwing more responsibilities into Izuku's shoulders. Yes, he is the 9th holder of One for All, but he shouldn't be the next All Might. He is a wonderful young man, with the potential to be a great hero in his own right. The best hero that Midoriya Izuku can be. Not a copy of a 40-year-old man missing a concerning number of internal organs. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. The first match. Making a weird face despite his excellent performance. It's Izuku Midoriya, from the hero course. Versus, sorry, but this guy hasn't really done anything to stand out yet. It's Hitoshi Shinso, from General Studies. The rules are simple. Win by knocking your opponent out of the ring, immobilizing them, or getting them to say, I give up. Bring the pain. We've got our good old recovery girl on standby. And fight dirty if you must. Ethics have no meaning here. That is not what I would like to hear before a fight. Throw caution to the wind, folks. We have the equivalent of a health potion in human form here. Yeah, that is not concerning at all. Well, of course, going for the kill is a no-no. You'll be disqualified. Because a true hero's fists fly only when in pursuit of villains. That should be a given, you moron. I give up, huh? Get it, Izuku Midoriya? This battle's going to test your strength of will. If you've got any kind of vision for your future, there's no sense in worrying about how you get there. As if anyone in a fight would listen to their opponent. Now, let's get this thing started. Like that monkey, babbling about his stupid pride. Something inside Izuku snaps. Maybe it's all the stress he had been piling up since USJ, but that comment makes him angry in a way that Toshinori never had felt before. What kind of dumbass throws away a chance like this? That only made it worse. Start. He starts running, without a plan in mind. Never a good idea. The second holder is trying to talk with him, telling him to remember about the boy's meta ability, but what did you say? Something happens. Izuku freezes, and for all of the holders suddenly, it feels numb for some reason. Just like when he fought a villain with a mind-controlling quirk. Oh, so that is what Saito-san was trying to say. On a scale of 0 to invading Russia in the winter, How bad was this idea? Well, somewhere along 6'5"? Looking back, he probably should have thought things through. Because, well, he knows what Shinso's quirk can do. But he still took the very obvious bait the other boy threw at him, and is now under his control. Now, his mind is fuzzy and he is frozen in place, unable to move. All of the past holders are in various degrees of disbelief and confusion. Except for Mr. Saito. He is just furious, fully glaring at Izuku with the anger of a disappointed family member. But why is Yoichi-san so pale? He is about to ask, but Mr. Morita interrupts him with his scolding. Midoriya, Izuku, why the hell did you do that for? Your classmate explained how that boy's quirk work, in great detail might I add, and you just thrown that advice away like some wet toilet paper. Scratch that, it's a 9-7. The older man huffed and rubbed his temples, a clear sign of an incoming headache. Somehow, he still managed to have them even after his natural death, which was both impressive and sad at the same time. Okay, why? You have the fight to win, and now it's personal. Wipe the floor with this kid, asked. Hey, maybe we can help him snap out of it. The other man looked at Banjo-san dead in the eye and hits Izuku in the back of the head. He felt that, but it does absolutely nothing to change his current situation. You were saying? Banjo-san backed away. Hey, what's wrong? This battle's just beginning. Show us some spirit. Mere seconds into the match, Midoriya's frozen in place. Looking confounded, he's not even twitching. Could this be Shinso's quirk? We were barely aware this guy even existed, but now, he sure is one to keep an eye on. Could this be Shinso's quirk? Of course. It is. What? You think we just randomly decided to turn into a statue? God, can someone please take away that man's microphone? Before I shove it here the sun doesn't shine. He had never seen the third holder this angry before. Upwards or downstairs. I'm fine with either. Must be nice to have everything handed to you. Izuku Midoriya. Now turn around and walk out of the ring. He doesn't want to, but his legs do the job for him. In the background, he can hear Ensan in a one-sided screaming match with Shinso, the man furiously with the accusations that Izuku was ever handed anything. He is even trembling with anger. But Nana-san looks very close to joining him, along with Shinomori-san, who is cracking his knuckles. But what is really catching his attention is Yoichi-san and Ichigo-san, because they're still rooted in place. Saito-san is now trembling and drawing short breaths and is hugging himself, trying to look smaller than he really is. That bothers Izuku for some reason. It doesn't seem right, because this is Yoichi, the same man who would tell the best stories when Izuku was younger, who would play hide and seek and sing lullabies to him. Why is he so scared? He must know that Shinso can't hurt him, that he is safe. Saito-san is there with him, a hand on his shoulder, talking to him. So why? You probably wouldn't think so, but this quirk of mine is like a dream. Right. You lose. A dream. He has a dream too, just like everyone here. He wants to be a hero. But since USJ, his resolve became even stronger. He didn't want just to be a cool hero like All Might, someone who saved people with a smile. No. He wants to be the one to make up for everything his cursed forefather had done wrong with the world. He will be the one to stop All for One. He will make up for all the monstrosities that man had ever done, including the deaths of the past holders and All Might's injury. So, I can't lose. Not like this, not here. I will move, and I will win. That makes a buzzing hum rise below his skin, a rush of adrenaline breaking through his veins. A fire in his soul. And all of a sudden he can move. Only 2 of his fingers, but that is more than enough. He forces all his strength into them and ignores the pain. Breaking out of Shinso's control caused quite the uproar on the audience. How? You shouldn't have control. What did you do? For some reason, that phrase makes Yoichi-san start crying, and Ichigo-san immediately works harder to calm him. Even Toshikun goes over, asking what is wrong. Don't worry. He's not here. It's not him. I'm so sorry. All of this just trigger me, that's all. Is just too familiar, and... He bites his lips and closes his eyes while Ichigo-san holds him. Izuku vaguely remembers the day when Yoichi-san told him the truth about one for all and all for one, about how everything began with the Shigaraki brothers and how Yoichi-san had a quirk force on him. They lived through such horrors in the past, and one of them is now trembling because some dumb, resentful teenager is trying to get a response from Izuku. Well, he is getting one. He is starting to get angry. Angry for all the nonsense that Hitoshi has been speaking for the last few minutes. Angry for the fact that Yoichi-san is afraid because of something that happened so far in the past, and that Izuku is forcing the man to relive all that again. Angry for the fact that Wajiro-kun, someone that is so kind, has been so rudely called monkey just because he has a mutant quirk.
So, again.
On a scale of 0 to invading Russia in the winter, how bad is this idea? This time, it is infinity. Nothing to say for yourself? I'm jealous though. Just moving that finger must mean you're the real deal. Thanks to my quirk's nature, I couldn't enter the Golden Gates.
You wouldn't get that.
You're naturally blessed. Blessed, he says.
Is he really?
Only if you count the people in his life that are rooting for him, the ones helping him and supporting him in his dream. His original quirk has nothing to do with that. He is related to a villain, and because of that, his family has a target on their back. What would happen if someone knew? What if the Hero Public Safety Commission found out about him? None of the past holders seemed to trust the institution. Would All Might change his mind? Would he ask One for All back because he lied? He had a quirk since the beginning, he just didn't know. And what a quirk it was. Steal from others. How is that fair? He would rather be really quirkless than make others lose something so important, so essential. His power relies on his voice. So, all I have to do is silence him. The other boy tries to grab him, but Izuku dodges. He also manages to lock one of his arms before punching him in the throat. It is simple logic, really. That way he can't speak without straining himself, and besides, Recovery Girl is there. And if there is a small part of him that enjoys shutting the boy up, then no one needs to know. Besides, he knows about punches. That wasn't nearly enough to hurt the boy or damage his trachea. Who knew Kaken's bullying wound ever become useful? Hitoshi stumbled back, a shocked look in his eyes while he holds his neck. But Izuku doesn't care about that. He just grabs the other boy's arm and flips him over his shoulder, aiming to throw his feet outside the ring. Slam! Shinso is out of the ring. Midoriya moves on to the second round. He is breathing heavily, and the adrenaline still is plumbing in his veins, his heart beating loud enough for other people to hear. Daigoro-san and Morita-san were shouting in the background, while Nana was clapping. Goodness gracious. We're off to an uneventful start. Well, put your hands together for our fierce competitors. After the rush, Izuku starts to feel embarrassed. Sure, he was angry, but did he really need to go that hard? So, he bows and tries to make some conversation. Shinso, why do you want to be a hero? The purple-haired boy frowns an angry expression at his face and just points at his throat. Sorry about that. The boy turns to leave but is interrupted by some of his classmates who are sitting in the audience. Apparently, Shinso's performance left a good impression with a great number of heroes, because all of them were saying that A was wasting the boy's potential by placing him on general studies. That at least brought a smile to the other boy's face.
Ah.
I forgot to smile. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. He never liked hiding things from All Might. It felt wrong to do that. For so long, he wanted to tell everything about his mentors, his original quirk, and the two others he took, his unwanted and unknown kinship to a villain. All of it. He just
didn't have a clue how.
Fortunately, Shinso's brainwashing gave him a great excuse. Sure, it didn't solve everything, but at least he found a way to tell the hero that he could see and hear the past holders. Did he twist the truth a little bit?
Sure.
But all Izuku said was that while he was under Shinso's quirk influence, he saw the past holder of One for All, and maybe, just maybe, they helped him break free. That's not bad, right? Besides, maybe All Might knew something that could explain just exactly Izuku managed to do that. What the dash? Sounds scary. Or not. Toshikuin facepalmed himself and Nana signed in defeat. All Might went on about how he saw the holders when he was younger, and if Izuku was beginning to see them, then it is a clear sign that he is getting used to One for All. As the current holder of said quirk, Izuku has some doubts about that, considering how close he is to turning his bones to dust. The older man goes on, saying that they couldn't directly interfere or influence him. Wrong, they can influence his feelings and the train of thought they told him so. Nor can you affect them, but he is not so sure about that considering all the headaches he gives them. In other words, that vision wasn't what undid the brainwashing. Rather, your own strong will allowed you to see those faces. And, as far as Shinso's brainwashing, you overcame it. Just for an instant. You managed to move that fingertip all on your own. He blushed because of the praise. Can you blame him? He is still getting used to it. Once Recovery Girl says he is good to go, he leaves. Once he is outside the corridor, he decides to talk about what has been bothering him for some time.
I want to ask you something.
Sure. Can you guys please stop calling Wajiro-kun Monkey Ninja or Sun Wukong? I know it can sound funny, but I think he would be hurt if he knew. They blink at him.
Wait,
you think we are? What are we? The freaking creature rejection clan. The what? Oh, Izuku no. We didn't call him that because of his quirk. It was because of his costume. It was clearly inspired by martial arts. We are not mocking him, but if you think he would be uncomfortable, we will stop. But just so you know, Sun Wukong is like fucking OP. Being called that is a compliment. Nanasan slaps N at the back of the head, and Morita-san. Midoriya. Both me and Saito were born in the first generation of meta abilities. Ergo, shit was crazy. If you had a meta ability, you were done. And if you had something that you couldn't hide, well, that was a death sentence.
So, quiz time.
The pro-hero Hawks, Maruko, Gang Orca, and Ryukyu. What do they all have in common? He looks at the man with actual curiosity. What does this have to do dash?
Oh.
They all have mutants quirks. They're all heteromorphs. And they're all related to some kind of animal? Yes. Animals, the very opposite of humans.
Keep that in mind.
But for some reason, only the first two are in the top 10.
Why? He never thought about that.
He started listing all the ranking that those heroes were ever mentioned when the truth becomes clear to him. It's their appearance. Hawks and Maruko can pass as humans more easily. Gang Orca is ranked third among heroes who look like villains, and Ryukyu covers part of her face, not to mention she physically changes every time she uses her quirk. Shuji also had to cover his face. Ashido has 2 small horns and pink skin. Tokoyami has a raven head. Are they treated differently because of it? Things are kind of different now. Today's problem is to have a villainous power. Like that Shinso kid. I can guarantee he had to deal with some crap. Like, damn it, hikage, what's the word? Quirkism. When an individual makes presumptions about someone based entirely on their quirk nature. So, basically, prejudice with an extra step. Christ, did you eat a dictionary? Anyway, the Shinso kid clearly has some kind of mind control meta ability. I'm sure the only reason he went as hard as he did was that he has a limited number of chances to get into Class 1A. If he has to use a slur to try to win a fight against someone, then that is the last of his problems. You learned this when you were 4, remember? People aren't born equal. That doesn't stop at the birth kid. He did learn that, didn't he? That being said, he decided to tackle the other subject that was bothering him. So, before his courage leaves him, Izuku speaks up. I don't want special treatment. I want to become the best hero I can be. So please don't go easy on me just because you saw me in diapers. Please, treat me as the next one for all holder instead of your little machi. That had been bothering him for weeks. Every time one of them called him by one of their cute nicknames, he felt a little embarrassed, like he was still a toddler in their eyes. And that bothered him more than he could admit. Isn't he the 9 holder of One for All? Shouldn't he be taken just a little more seriously? If he has to prove himself to them, then he will. But they all have to start somewhere. Mr. Ichigo smirked because of his statement. Mark your words, 9th holder. Because we won't hold back. Izuku can't help himself from smiling or the trill from rising in his chest. He can't help but feel excited. Mark your words, Saito-san. Both Banjo-san and Shimura-san barked a laugh, but what really brought him satisfaction was seeing that Yoichi-san was chuckling. Yoichi-san. Yes. Is it okay if I hug you now? The other man blinks, as if the question surprised him.
Oh.
Oh, of course you can. That alone improves Izuku's mood. Midline horizontal ellipsis, midline horizontal ellipsis. The wait is over. Moving on. There they are. The cream of the crop. Yet this guy is somehow still as plain as they come. Hantacero of the hero course. Versus. The best of the best. Strongest of the strong. Shoto Todoroki, also of the hero course. Ah yes, Flex Tape Boy and Napolitan Ice Cream Kid. That will be quick. He tries to mentally glare at Daigoro-san because they just talked about this. Also, what makes him think that?
Sorry.
No nicknames that make fun of their quirks. I got it. But for real, this will end fast. Start. Zero manages to grab their classmate, and it looks like he is about to push him out of the ring, and then there is a glacier in the middle of the arena. And maybe it is overkill on Todoroki's part, but while the audience congratulates Zero on his effort, Shoto was busy defrosting his own ice with his left side. And he looked sad. Next, it was Ibara Shiozaki and Kaminari's turn. And once again, it ended very quickly, to Shiozaki's favor. Before he realizes it, he starts writing, pouring out everything that just happened. Her ability to unleash them is something else. She can build walls, bind enemies. Kaminari's quirk was no use against her. She countered him well. He might have had a chance if he could maneuver better, but he panicked and short-circuited after one attack. Though Kaminari's quirk would be stronger, but Shiozaki got fourth in the entrance exam. She's the real deal. Those vine moves, they're similar to Kamui Wood's binding attacks. Binding types are always strong. You almost never see someone break out. It's pretty much impossible to dodge all the vine attacks, so the only counter is to rip them apart with brute strength. But to prevent that, they tend to go for the hands first. Shimura-sen patted him on the head 2 times. 1 pat mean that he muttering, 2 pats meant that he was muttering out loud and freaking other people out, and 3 pats, which luckily hasn't happened yet, would mean that he was muttering during a fight. I really need to get this under control. Your match just ended, but you're already thinking ahead, strategy-wise?
Nah, I'm just...
Well, you could call this a hobby of mine. We finally have a chance to see the quirks of people outside our own class in action.
Oh, right.
I've also got everything you need to know about class in here. Even your zero gravity, Uraraka. His friend seemed uncomfortable with that, but smile all the same. Still, Shinomori-san sighed and said that maybe he should ask his classmates' permission before writing an essay on their quirks. Oh, did he make her uncomfortable? Deku. I thought you were amazing since the day we met, but this sports festival has brought you to a whole other level. He really did make her uncomfortable. The realization makes him grip the pencil harder. That wasn't his intention. She is one of her first friends since Kaken. How can he make up to her? He looks down at his notebook, and the answer stares right back at him. Izuku had to fight back a smile. There was no one in UDA who knew Kaken's fighting style better than him. He knew all his moves and attacks, his reactions and defenses. It is perfect. People will probably think his childhood friend won't give his all against a female opponent. He will. He doesn't care about that. An opponent is an opponent, and Kaken always gives his all. Close-range combat. Virtually no weakness. The more mobile he is, the stronger his quirk will be. So that is why she needs to send him floating. He is so focused on his task that he's not even paying attention to eat a fight, but he can hear the comments that the holders are casually making. Why is he wearing that? Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. Sweet Jesus, she is a saleswoman. That is so much worse than what we thought. That is brutal. That poor boy. I want to make him hot cocoa and bury him in cozy blankets. He really wants to ask what they're talking about, but that will have to wait. Uraraka. She is in the prep room. He looks around and indeed, his friend wasn't there. Thanks, Nana. Izuku gets up and goes to the same room. Soon enough, he is there, but before he can speak, Nana appears in front of him, with an angry expression on her face. Nana, I need to... The woman raises her hand, a clear sign that she would be doing the talking. I know you have good intentions, Izuku, but Uraraka is a capable hero student, treats her as such. Do you remember what you said to us on the first day of battle training? We kept telling you what to do, but you said you needed to do things your way, so it can be our own merit.
We respect you then.
Why can't you respect your Araka now? He bites his lips. He does respect his classmate. He just wants to help, so that is what he does. He offers his help, just like the past holders did for him on that day. It is up to your Araka if she wants it or not. Thanks, Deku, but that's okay. You're amazing, Deku. You do amazing things all the time. During the cavalry battle, I thought the easiest strategy would be to team up with friends. But when I think about it, I was actually just putting my faith in you. That's why Ida said, I challenge you, and all that. That left me feeling a little embarrassed about myself. That's why. Thanks, but no thanks. Everyone here is fighting for their futures. Doesn't that make us all rivals? So I'll see you in the finals. She leaves, and Izuku can't help himself. He wants Uraraka to win. Morita-san, and then clapped him on the shoulder and smiled. Well, I know who I am rooting for. Let's go ninth holder, I want to see Toe Beans win.